Creative journalist. I break new ways of looking at stories. That's what I'm trying to do.
Your daughter's a whore. Religion is a neurological disorder. Cut the schnizzle!
These morons are out there protesting for Hamas.
You don't give women enough credit. They care just as much about politics and issues as men do, and I would say, sorry, they don't.
Americans have got to learn how to take a joke.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, hello. My name is Will Weldon, and this is I Hate Bill Maher, a podcast about how I hate Bill Maher. That's right, folks. We got another solo episode. Will Weldon coming at you solo style. Wow, I'll probably leave that in. It's quite late. It's about 10:45 at night. I'd like to finish this so I can get it up not too late, sort of Thursday morning kind of situation. And here's the deal this week. Oh, sorry. Before we get into that little segment we like to call Bill Maher News. Maher News. So the big Bill Maher news this week is that Mark Maron called Bill Maher a bitch. He said he was Trump's bitch he said you're a bitch. I didn't write it down. Everybody already kind of talked about it, but it's kind of funny that they're like, you know, a guy who's successful in the entertainment industry reaches a certain age, and there are kind of two tracks you can go down where you actually genuinely try to like continue to develop as a human being and get better, and then, or you just get so set in your ways and become just worse and worse and worse every single day. And those are, at least for white men, those two types of guys are Maron and Bill Maher. I can call him Mark. I've met him a bunch of times. It's been a really long time since I've seen him, but I am allowed to call him Mark. One time at a show, I was talking to a girl, and it was going quite well, and I was like, 1 second, I just have to go wash my hands, because I have compulsive thoughts about that, and she left, went in, washed my hands, I walked out, and she was throwing herself at Mark Maron, had completely forgotten about me, and Mark could not have cared less. So I suppose kudos to him, and a big thumbs down to old Will Weldon. So what's going on with this week's episode is, it was supposed to be a normal one with comedian Brody Reed. I, however, kept missing his emails and thinking he just wasn't getting back to me, and so it's going to be next week's episode now. And I just acted a fool for too long, and now this is happening. But thank God, we're going to record in a couple days. Episode will be out next week. I'll be back to a normal schedule. I know I've said that. I should change the name of this podcast too. I swear to God, I'll get back to a normal schedule. Who knows if I will? I'll try. But that's going to be next week's episode now. I figured, look, Bill Maher's always acting so out of pocket. I feel like more and more every week, people are like, can you believe this fucking guy? There's like a different community that's like, God, I fucking hate this guy. I forgot about this guy, and now I remembered him. I fucking hate him. So I was like, okay, well, I fucked the schedule. Why don't I do a current episode? Why don't I do the most recent episode? I didn't even look at who the guests were. I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so that's how we ended up with, you might be able to hear a police car going by. I live right off one of the busiest streets in the world is why. That's how we ended up with this week's episode being about Real Time Season 23, Episode 8. It aired on March 14th, 2025. So it's pretty standard stuff. You can still hear how much smaller the crowd is, because I found out recently in episode of Club Random. Oh, he told Greg Gutfeld that during COVID, because they had to have the smaller crowds, he was like, I liked it better because we had the crowd, essentially the crowd that just laughed and clapped at everything and never oohed, or he was like, the old crowds, at least once the show, they'd sort of ooh and ah. It's like ooh and ah. And then he called that booing. Like, this man, Dave Merhaj, once had a guy threaten to shoot him after a show. He's a Canadian comic. He had a guy threaten to shoot him after a show in Detroit. That's a fucking heckler, man. That's getting heckled. That's booing. A crowd going, oh, that just means you got him in some other way. But he still has the smaller crowd. You can hear how much smaller they are. They kind of sound like a Gutfeld crowd, if I'm being honest, except the opposite, because everything kills. And that's going to be a part of the clips I play. But before I get into that stuff, oh my God. I, of course, here are the topics covered on this week's show. Topics covered this week are suppression of freedom of speech by the right and the left, tariffs, Anti-vax freaks. Did COVID restrictions go too far? How Trump has changed the Republican Party and sudden, mysterious, out-of-nowhere use of the term sex worker, which started only 2 weeks ago. And now some numbers. 60 women nominated for Oscars for playing sex workers. 26% for great deal of trust. 12 weeks to have an abortion. 5 years since the beginning of COVID-19. 3 out of every 1,000 children who die from the measles. 11 monologue jokes, 6 new rules, and 1 very sweepy podcast host. Now, as I mentioned, yes, that was pre-recorded. And as I mentioned, it is quite late. I'm quite sweepy, as I mentioned there. Please don't stop listening, because I referred to myself as a sweepy podcast host. But I am. I'm sweepy. It happens. But I'm having some black tea, and I really think that's going to pick me up. When I said I was going to have a cup of tea, my wife's face, it lit up at the idea that she could give me some of her special Earl Grey tea. And I'll tell you, it's pretty good. It's nice. I recommend having a tea person in the relationship. Even if one of you is not a tea person, it's still good to have one of you at least with a moderate interest in tea, because at some point one of you is going to want some tea, and it's nice to have good tea. I'm, of course, speaking about testosterone that entire time. So, as in previous solo episodes, I've got a lot of clips. I maybe went crazy on the clips. I maybe am a pain pig. And I'm going to make you guys, I'm going to make you just listen to the entire monologue. And I'll get into why in a second. But first, you guys know I'm obsessed with the smacks. Especially if you subscribe to the Patreon, you know I'm fucking obsessed with the smacks. I can't stop talking about the smacks. I don't do the smacks anymore because I know a lot of listeners really hated that. And if you're one of those listeners, I'll say you should start taking your earbuds out now, because I put together a compilation of every single lip smack that I noticed during the episode. I might have missed a few, but I'm going to play that right now. So if you have, I don't remember the thing where those kinds of noises make you want to claw your ears off of your head. Take your earbuds out, count to 7, and then put them back in. Because here we go. This is the Smackalog. Smack montage? This Smackalage? Realizing now that I should have just called it Smackdown. These are all the smacks. So some of those he was not even on camera for. There's a crazy one during the panel where someone takes a pause and their mouth is open and you hear a smack from off camera, and it's like, wow, it looks like Sam Stein did like a with his tongue or something. That doesn't count as a smack. You can't get mad at me for doing that. So as I said, I've got the entire monologue from the show. Let's just fucking jump into this shit. Let's just jump. Let's jump into it. Who are you? And I want to. Who are you to tell me not to jump?
Big show, please. We got to start our St. Patrick's.
You goddamn thing. So I've got the whole monologue here. And the reason for that is it's crazy to listen to them. I mentioned the thing earlier about Gutfeld. They fucking hoot and holler and cheer for everything. It's crazy. He truly has it's like the crowd owes him money, or they've all been kidnapped and brainwashed. They go nuts over the most fucking banal shit. So here, he's walked out. The crowd really goes crazy for a long time before he's like, oh, come on. Let's get started here. So this is the preamble and the first joke.
Big show, please. We got to start our St. Patrick's Day celebration weekend, right? It's St. Patrick's Day in a couple of days. I already saw a guy puking in the street.
The crowd, that's not the end of the joke. But that's how pathetic and trained the crowd is that I already saw a guy puking in the street, and they're laughing. They're already laughing. They're already laughing and clapping because they're like, there was a pause. We're meant to laugh and clap. There were these comedy specials in Canada. It's called Comedy Now. And the production company that made them would sweeten them to such a degree that they may as well not have had an actual audience. And that's what these crowds feel like. He's got a real Comedy Now vibe coming off of him if you're over 35 and from Canada and had the fucking Comedy Network. Here's the rest of the joke, though.
It was my stockbroker. I said, what's the matter? He said, I'm sick of winning.
So, honestly, fine. That joke is fine. But the thing is, the reaction is so overblown that it makes the joke seem bad. Because the crowd is so pumped, you're like, well, it's not that good. So it must not be good. It's too much. It's too much. They're all, and I guess in that case you could look. You're like, oh, let them off the hook. They're just pumped. They're pumped to see their favorite guy. They're pumped to see their favorite guy, Bill Maher. So next joke.
Yeah, the stock market.
I mean, a part of the problem is he also is laughing way too hard, like a smoker's laugh. Guy, oh, I'm Mr. Healthy. Really? Because it sounds like you smoke so much weed, you have like an aunt. A cackle when you laugh, a wheezing cackle.
Stock market has lost $5 trillion in 3 weeks. Yes, Trump, he's the Ozempic of the economy.
You can actually hear people going, ha, 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 in the crowd. Trump, he's the Ozempic of the economy, whatever. It's topical. He's in Hollywood. La La Land. A lot of Ozempic use going around, you know? Check out Real Housewives sometime if you're wondering what Ozempic does. But they're...
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, wow. I agree. Wow. That's an insane response to Trump is the Ozempic of the economy. They're like cackling, laughing like robots. Ha, 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 ha. And then just clapping until he stops them.
$5 trillion. Today, Greenland offered to buy us. There are
these weirdos in the. This is what crowds are like at roast battle. This is like a roast battle, but it's a guy doing just stock. And I haven't been talking about the quality of the jokes are perfectly fine. Honestly, the jokes are perfectly fine. It's a bit of a situation with the last time Hastings was on. They're perfectly fine, but the crowd is behaving insane. And then there's one more runner to this.
There are CEOs out there begging Luigi Mangione to shoot them in the back of the head.
I find his milking of the clapping pathetic and enraging because if you go, Trump is the Ozempic of the economy. I mean, today Greenland offered to buy us. There are CEOs begging Luigi Mangione to shoot them in the back of the head. That's like a runner. You're supposed to go like boom, boom, boom. You're supposed to like get them off quick. You're not supposed to wait for 20 seconds in between each one, basking in the glow of your genius as a crowd who's meant to be laughing is clapping at you. So like deliver them properly, man. It's supposed to be a runner.
Yes, it turns out that the stock market has really kind of rejected the notion that if we turn on our trading partners, chickens would lay more eggs.
I mean, he explains that. But listen to him laugh.
Yeah, I mean, rejected the notion that if we turn on our trading partners, chickens would lay more eggs. Yeah, I mean,
that's fucking crazy. That's a fucking crazy response to that joke. I'll admit, the first part of this episode is going to be I hate Bill Maher's audience, or I feel concern for Bill Maher's audience. Is also like, are these people okay?
Biden.
It's. I think I already made this joke. It sounds like they have the fucking Joker's laughing gas. I feel like I've made this joke before. The whole crowd was dead by the end of the show. Literally dead by the end of the show with horrific grimaces plastered onto their face as they died from the Joker's laughing gas. It's just like the scene in the Dark Knight. It's just like the scene in the Dark Knight Returns where the Joker kills David Letterman and his audience. Man, Frank Miller was fucking on one his whole career. He's still alive. I'm talking like he's dead, but for all intents and purposes, his career is.
This president was everything about the eggs, the price of eggs. We got to lower the price of eggs. And now Trump retweeted somebody last week who said, "Shut up about the eggs." And Americans are like, but we need eggs. What else are we going to throw at the Teslas?
Here's what's so strange. That's probably, well, I don't know. I like that run, okay, but that's I think a good joke. The crowd does not laugh at all. Listen.
And Americans are like, but we need eggs. What else are we going to throw at the Teslas?
They go like, ah, and then they start clapping. No laughter. No, he's broken their minds so badly with his cruel treatment. He even said the Gutfeld episode, he was like, once an episode, I would fight with the crowd. I get mad at the crowd. I tell the crowd to shut up. And it's like, well, look what you're left with. These sick individuals. I mean, I feel like Kyle Ayers once described a particular comedy show in New York. He described the crowd there as being 50 men who all came alone. And this crowd does not have the man part, because you can hear some women with truly upsetting, disturbing laughs. But that's it. They don't sound like a unit. It's like a bunch of individuals who came to prove that I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the best Bill Maher cheerer. I'm going to cheer so good and clap so good for Bill that he's going to have me come backstage afterwards and I'll watch him get. That's disgusting. I'm not going to finish that one. Imagine being in this crowd and listening to this. You'd be afraid for your life. You'd be looking around like you are going to die. Like these people are going to kill you. They're being worked up into a frenzy. They're going through some sort of like psychological thing, being driven to into a frenzied state, and they'll like kill you while going like woo and clapping, and they'll stomp you to death. That's what this crowd sounds like it's capable of. Next joke.
You know what? $5 trillion in 3 weeks, and we have only ourselves to blame. Trump said this would happen if we re-elected Biden. Oh, wait, that didn't happen.
Okay, that joke sucks. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. Yes, we know. We did get the joke. Don't worry. Oh, wait, we didn't elect Joe Biden. Oh, my God, that's so funny. He's right. We didn't elect Joe Biden. Also, Trump said this would happen if we re-elected Joe Biden. But he ran against Kamala Harris. I don't think he mentions Kamala Harris once this entire episode, but he mentions Joe Biden multiple times. I think he still thinks Kamala, he's like, she's too woke to mention. I have to go back to the good non-woke president. I'll say this. Joe Biden could be fucking woke. I don't think Bill Maher was never willing to... What am I talking about? Bill Maher was never willing to acknowledge the wokeness of Joe Biden. But yeah, Donald Trump ran against Kamala Harris, so that joke makes no sense to me. And it maybe they're like, well, he never said it about Kamala Harris. And it's like, buddy, I'm not sure that he said it about fucking Joe Biden. Why would he? I mean, bird flu started late. Bird flu didn't start so that the fucking, these massive egg companies, fucking sticking their fingers in the orifice of every fucking farmer and consumer using bird flu as an excuse to fucking stiff every single one of us. I think Biden was already out by the time that really started. Next joke.
No, this is happening because Trump wants to bring back manufacturing, and to get the ball rolling, he is manufacturing a recession.
Not bad. Not bad. Now, I've stopped him the second he finished the punchline. He's back to not bad. That last joke, honestly, is kind of the outlier in terms of during the monologue, in terms of being a joke that just sort of stinks. But I have a note here that says listen to them clapping. So let's see if it's particularly egregious. It should be, but I've lied to myself in the past.
And every day... every day...
I think it's just the clapping that really got to me. Because, I mean, this is the other thing, too. Are the jokes really that funny? I just smacked my lips. Are the jokes really that... I mean, they're fine. I mean, his jokes are so bad that's the thing. It's like, that's a good joke. I wouldn't think it was a good joke in a normal set or like a good... But like, the fucking monologue at the Oscars. Those were good jokes. That was an excellent monologue. If you are listening to this as primarily a Bill Maher hater, and you're not a big comedy person and didn't watch a ton of more like comedic, go watch Conan's monologue from the Oscars. It is genuinely excellent. Like, the jokes are great. The flow is really good. He fucking sells everything really well. And I was shocked because, that was not traditionally seen as a thing he was typically good at. This, in comparison to, none of the jokes in this can compare at all to any of the jokes from that monologue. This is shit. But this is also a weekly show. They've been working on it for months. So, but I'm saying that's how good it can be. And I'm sure there are probably others that are better. But I'm just saying, I think it was just the clapping that got to me on the last one. Okay, next joke.
He plays Let's Spin the Big Tariff Wheel. Woo!
Oh, Bill's getting silly. Silly Bill. It's a silly Bill Maher. Woo! Good for him for committing to it, at least, Woo! I'm silly Bill Maher.
Round and around she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows.
Wow, act out, commitment to the bit, some character work.
And every day, Trump puts these amazingly large tariffs on other countries, and when the countries respond with their tariffs, he acts shocked at their disrespect. How dare you do to me what I just did to you?
So this sounds like a Toastmasters speech. I swear, that's what this sounds like. This sounds like an uncle speech. This lacks the sheen and polish up to this point of a normal Bill Maher monologue. He sounds like a late night guy typically. And that is completely lacking from this. There's no polish. It sounds like he's just talking.
But
and long setup. But I'm sure the punchline will be worth it. I bet myself $1 million the punchline will be worth it.
But the level of North Korea, shall we say?
I'm gonna wait. He says the level of North Korea again later, and then I'll talk about it.
The responses from the Republican Party here, just pretending it's either not happening or it's a good thing, or the euphemisms here, $5 trillion in 3 weeks, and they said it's going through the stock market, the economy is going through a period of transition.
What the hell was that? It sounds like he starts riffing, because how do you fuck this setup to your joke, which is theoretically either on a card or you're reading it off the teleprompter? Listen to it.
Or the but the level of North Korea, shall we say, that the responses from the Republican Party here, just pretending it's either not happening or it's a good thing, or the euphemisms here, $5 trillion in 3 weeks, and they said it's going through the stock market, the economy is going through a period of
What the hell is he talking about? What's he trying to say there? How does he get so mixed up? It really sounds like he just starts riffing. Like he's like, I remembered another bad thing about the economy. And then halfway through, he was like, where am I? That's why they have to film the show before the sun goes
transition.
Down.
It's, yes, our economy is transitioning, and our pronouns are what, the, and fuck.
I mean, using this analogy a lot lately because I think it's funny. There's that part in Avengers Infinity War where Iron Man like punches Thanos and shoots like 100 rockets and a bunch of repulsor beams at him, and then Thanos touches his nose and he goes, all that for a drop of blood. That's what I think about with this setup. All that setup, and all you end up with is, I identify as an attack helicopter. That's where we end up, a pronoun joke, which he doesn't even do right. Like, the pronouns are what, the, and fuck. Call me crazy. I think it should just be, and the pronouns are what, the, fuck. I think that works better. You typically want fewer words in your punchline, as few words as you can get, well, as long as it still works. But anyway, it's of course like, you know, it's so compelling, these kinds of guys who have so much hatred and disdain for trans people, but they are obsessed with them. They can't think about anything else. Any word that could even possibly remotely be linked back, like it's a transitioning economy. Oh, just like a trans person. Like, can you just be fucking normal, man? I mean, obviously he can't. Obviously it's almost it's apparently against the law for him to just be normal. We have some normalcy in this episode. But like, what the and fuck? Man, okay. I'm fucking transitioning. Here are my pronouns. Fuck you, bitch. Shut the fuck up. I've got 4 pronouns. They're shut the fuck up, you dumb, stupid, fucking piece of shit. Was that 10? I've lost count. I've got 10 pronouns. So kiss my ass, you fucking worthless sack of shit. The economy's transitioning, and its pronouns are fucking fuck off. Get a new fucking joke, man. Listen to them clap. Fucking hug. It's a hog night. It's screaming hog night. What are they screaming for? What are they they're so enthusiastic about mocking the idea of someone being trans. Because it's not like he made some incredible point during the punchline. So the thing the crowd is most excited about is like, yeah, we get to demean trans people. I'd feel unsafe. I'm not trans. I'm merely a white immigrant. And even I would feel unsafe around a crowd like this.
Trump said the other day, you can't really watch the market. It's just a number. Yeah, just a number that indicates the amount of how much less money you had than last week.
Boo! That joke sucks. That's a really fucking bad joke, and the punchline needed more work. It's too long. The like, yeah, just a number that shows you how much less money you had than last week. No. You must prune that. Hire a joke gardener and prune that punchline. You fucking sack of shit. God damn it. Fucking 9 jokes in. And I'm just like, what a fucking pig this guy is. Just a fucking worthless mental slob. An emotional cretin. This is not a joke, by the way. Yeah, a number that shows you how much less money you had than last week. You could have just done, yeah, a number that shows you how much less money you have now. Why not just do that? The crowd's already ahead of you. The crowd's clapping 3 words in. They've written the punchline in their brain before you got to it. So you don't need all those extra words. I know that you think you are smarter than everyone else and nobody else knows anything, but like for the sake of all, you must assume a crowd can come up with the easiest to come up with, can see a couple words ahead when it's that obvious what you're saying. Last one. The clapping is crazy. This fucking clapping, man.
But here's the big headline in this. Americans, just regular everyday Americans, including a lot of people who voted for this administration, are now starting to lose their faith in this administration. I talked to a guy the other day. He used to be out there singing YMCA, and now he's... and now he's living there. All right, well, we got a great...
Okay, he did it at okay, he has been doing it again, because I knew he did it in 2020. And I wanted to confirm that Donald Trump was still doing the YMCA dance. That's fine, whatever. I'm already so like irritated with him and hate him so much that like. Okay, so that's the end of the monologue. First, the next part. So overall, the monologue would have been fine, except for that one joke that made me want to fucking, But his crowd fucking ruins it by just 40 people having a fucking aneurysm all together, but also differently, all kind of making similar yet different noises. So like by the end, you're just like, what the fuck happened? Is there something wrong with me? What did I just witness? What was this sick pagan clapping ceremony that just took place in front of me? And it was the real-time monologue. It's satanic. It's a satanic display of sick, irrational behavior. It's satanic. It's not just the work of the devil, it is the work for the devil. So then we go into an interview. It's with Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania. So clearly he wants this guy to run for president because he kind of starts off by being like, I'm not going to ask you if you are. But, and okay, listen, this is how he kind of opens. So he goes,
And look, I'm going to get right to it with you.
I'm going to get right to it with you. You tell me if this counts as getting right to it.
I mean, things are rough. We don't have time to fuck around. Okay, let's do it. We really don't.
We don't have time to fuck around. So let's get right to it.
I'm ready. So my first question, and I'm not going to ask you if you're going to run for president. Okay. I'm going to ask you this, and before I do, I'm going to preface it by saying I think one of the mistakes Democrats make is that they're too modest. If one thing Trump has taught us is that Americans don't hate a braggart. I think a lot of people who criticize the left, who want them to do better, think they don't brag upon themselves or their accomplishments as much as they should. So here's my question, not if you're running. My question is, so many people now put you on that short list. Why do so many people see you as this guy who might be the guy?
Does that sound like getting right to it? Or does it sound like a guy shoving his whole head up his own ass? Like, we got to get right to it. We don't have time to fuck around. But before we do, I want you to know, hey man, you don't got to be honest with me. I want you to be real. I want you to brag a little. What are you, his fucking coach? Are you his fucking speech and debate coach? Just ask him why he'd be a fucking good candidate, if that's why you're going to ask. As if he's going to be like, I don't know, I'm not. I'm not going to be a good candidate. Well, I don't know. Well, what have you done as governor? Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's unlike politicians to big up their own accomplishments. What people criticize Democratic politicians for is they run away from their accomplishments and embrace their fuck-ups. Like, listen, and this is a great example. Listen to why he's saying listen to the things he lists as reasons, things he's done as governor with a split legislature, the things he's accomplished and why he would be a great candidate. For the Democrats, I'd like to remind you.
That's a good start. How about, I got the greatest votes ever.
Okay, that wasn't it. That was him doing his fucking terrible Donald Trump impression.
For the last 2 years, I was the only governor in the entire country with a divided legislature. Yet we found ways to fix our unconstitutional education system, bring $3.7 billion in private sector investment into Pennsylvania, cut taxes 6 times, speed up government. Took 8 weeks to get a business license. The day I was sworn in as governor, now it takes just 3 days. And we hired 1,500 new cops on the streets, and crime is down 36%.
Well, crime is down everywhere, first of all. But listen, I'd be a great Democrat. Help, I'm doing 90s talk radio. I'd be a perfect nominee to be Democratic nominee for president because I cut taxes 6 times and hired 1,500 more cops. Cool. How's that been going for the last few people who really went with that? How'd that go? How'd that centrist thing work out this election season, 2016? They pushed Biden to the left when he ran in 2020. Not far enough, obviously. But, like, this is what's okay. It's like, why would you be great? It's like, well, I will repeat all the same mistakes we just keep on repeating because I have no soul and I'm a piece of shit.
So we're delivering results in the ultimate swing state in the nation.
Florida, if Florida could just get its shit it together, it could get that title back of the ultimate swing state. I believe Florida or Ohio, guys, it's sitting right there. You just got to let the elections get a little closer, and you can fucking run away with that title. Fuck Pennsylvania. You're going to let that state be the ultimate swing state? That fucking state of weirdos? No. You guys got to take it back. You two states of incredibly normal people. Just look at I've accomplished a lot. Okay, well, a lot of those sound bad. We've sped up government. It used to take 8 weeks to get a business license. Now it takes 3 days. Well, why? What'd you do? We cut taxes outside private. Like, I just don't think those will stand up in the face of the unwell attacks of Republicans. Listen, Josh Shapiro, he might have been a part of the cover-up of a woman's murder. That's going to come up very soon with me, but like, They'll go with that right away. And what are you going to come back with? We hired 1,500 more cops, and crime is down. Well, crime's down everywhere. Well, I cut taxes 6 times. Well, still not enough. I'll cut them more, and the economy will actually be good. Okay, well, congratulations to President Boebert running against fucking Josh Shapiro.
Dick's Sporting Goods,
Okay, I cut a part out. He mentions he was at Dick's Sporting Goods.
a great Western Pennsylvania-based company, by the way. Buy
Yay, Dick.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. They should be advertisers.
A lot
on
of
your
people in our
show.
crowd say that every week.
And
Sir, you are 70 years old. God, Josh Shapiro's fucking boring. People are going to try to convince me this guy has the fucking juice. The juice? They're going to try to convince me he's got the juice? Like, absolutely not. This guy does not have it. He's so unremarkable. But anyway, to be like, a lot of my crowd loves Dick. Okay, what's this joke? Well, like, can you shut up? Can you fucking grow up? Can you go away? A lot of my crowd says that. Great. It's a great use of everyone's time. Dick's Sporting Goods, a great Western Pennsylvania company. Boo! People fucking throw rotten produce at this guy if this is the fucking level he performs at.
I like the field so far. Rahm Emanuel, I think, is going to run, it looks like. Our governor here, Gavin Newsom, I think is going to run. Pete Buttigieg, those are the people who I see. And they're all sort of on the same page, which is the Democrats. They're either people who are moving to the center, have moved to the center. They got the memo, I think.
I love the field so far. It's one of the most, it's the governor of California, a guy everybody fucking hates. Everybody hates. Since he launched his podcast, even people in California fucking hate him now. Lives in California, hate gruesome Gavin. And the rest of the, you run him, Republicans will just be like, he destroyed California. It cannot, Bill Maher's so stupid, so unaware of things. He's completely unaware that most of the country thinks California is an apocalypse. Is like, it has become hell. They think that's what the state has become, and he's the guy who did it. Great. A man who has nothing to fall back on anymore, because at least for a long time he could, go with, he could be like, I was the gay rights guy. I issued same-sex marriage licenses from my city. That's gone. It's done. Oh, we're going to have the guy on who's fucking so dumb he falls prey to Charlie Kirk? The wily charisma of Charlie Kirk? Come on. His face is in the very middle of his head. And you're going to have that guy on your podcast and be like, Charlie, help us. How can we win elections? Asking, so stupid, he asks a guy who is committed to the destruction of Gavin Newsom's political party. And he's like, how could we win an election? Great. I'm sure he's going to answer in good faith. My son's a big fan of yours. Don't admit that ever to anybody other than like a psychiatrist. You got Rahm Emanuel, who, as must always be reiterated, covered up the murder of a black teenager so that he could win re-election. And then he didn't run again because everybody fucking hated him so much. Rahm Emanuel has no... It's a great field. Rahm Emanuel has no fucking base of support. There's no base of support with Rahm Emanuel. Chicago fucking hates Rahm Emanuel. They hate... The base of support for Rahm Emanuel is Democratic politicians who he buried bodies for. That's it. And then Pete Buttigieg. Guy won one fucking primary in 2020. And it's because they literally cheated. They literally cheated so they could try to take it away from Bernie Sanders and not have him have any momentum. I love that field. Yeah, Buttigieg, this weird little nerd who he gets the nominee, and it's just like, so you fixed bread. So you did market manipulation. You fixed bread prices. You worked for one of the most evil companies in the world. And he'll be like, but I served overseas. Everybody will be like, I don't fucking care. That guy's the fucking nasty freak you have as an attack dog on TV. That's what that guy's supposed to be for. That guy can't be the president. He just like, it's too much for him. He can't handle it. But you can have him be a fucking vicious little guy going after people on the news for criticizing his president. That's perfect. That's a great role for him. Let him have that role. Why should he be president? He's the fucking mayor, for God's sake. He's the transportation secretary. Oh yeah, hey, didn't East Palestine, didn't a fucking train go off the tracks and there's a fucking airborne toxic event that still hasn't been cleaned up? Wasn't he the transportation secretary when that happened? Okay, well, they'll just, make him the president. He'll poison the whole country. There you go. That's how you run against that. This fucking guy, man. What a great field there is. And you, Josh Shapiro.
Certainly that's one reason why.
And a man who was, Josh Shapiro, who was like, I believe he was DA of a place, when he was DA of, I don't remember his official stuff, but he was the head of a jurisdiction where a woman, her death was ruled as suicide, despite the fact she'd been stabbed in the back of the neck a bunch of times. And I mean, that's what I was saying about the smear campaign. I was excited for it. I didn't want him to be the fucking VP nominee. We all wanted Walz, and that was a good pick. And then they fucking fucked it up by not letting him talk for 3 weeks. And when he did start talking again, they were like, no more weird stuff. God, that Kamala Harris campaign was the worst fucking campaign. It was nuts. It wasn't even like with Hillary Clinton where everybody knew that's what she was going to do. Kamala Harris came in with all this momentum, and then she disappeared for weeks and came back and just did everything the complete opposite way that she'd done it before. It is malpractice that happened, and the people who ran her campaign aren't being forced to live in like sacks, burlap sacks, and like they have to fucking prance around in the town square while everybody whips change at them. And there were rumors as well that he was friends with the boyfriend of the woman. I think it was her boyfriend. He was friends with her family. Was that true? I could never find a citation. But guess what? It was already catching on before he, supposedly dropped out. So, like, they'll get him on that.
He won the election. People who still didn't even like him, but saw the Democrats as less commonsensical.
So, obviously, he's talking about Trump there. Commonsensical. He loves to say commonsensical. I don't know if it actually is a word or not. I do know it sounds like shit. And he sounds weird saying it. And again, they won because they saw Trump as more commonsensical. Look at a poll. Look at all the polls. It was inflation. This is what gets to me about this. This guy is allowed to make up his own reality. And aside from once on this episode, he has never checked. Nobody ever checks him. Nobody ever looks at him and go, that's not true. It happens once this episode, and he's pathetic in the face of it. Okay, this next quote, this is a big one. And this is the last one also from this interview. I mean, this is a whole interview. He just invites him on his show to do like a campaign speech. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. I don't break stories. I break new ways of thinking about stories. And then you have this guy on to be like, why are you so great? Tell us why you're so great. You seem like a common sense guy. Don't all these other candidates seem like they have common sense too? Oh my God.
You were on the short list for vice president last time, Pennsylvania. A lot of people said, well, the only reason he didn't get it was because he's Jewish.
A lot of people said that. A lot of people said that. That's not true. Only the most demented pro-Israel media lunatics were trying to push that narrative of he didn't get it because he's Jewish. Like, come on, man. Based on what? And that's clearly what he's like, a lot of people said that. One, no, they didn't, as I said. And two, well, clearly you think that if you're bringing this up. Of course, it's not done. There's more.
And there's a wing of this party that is very anti-Israel now, which is a big change in my lifetime, because the Democrats used to be a very pro-Israel place, and then it all got switched around. Do you think that's true? And is it, if you ran, wouldn't you, somebody has to sort of like defend the Jews like outright? Because I just feel there's a lot of tiptoeing back away from this issue. Like, we just don't want to go near it, as opposed to saying, well, actually, this is our friend in the Middle East who lives a life. Go ahead.
So Josh Shapiro has to cut him off because he's rambling like a fucking nitwit. But also, like, this is anti-Semitic. He's doing anti-Semitism here by interchangeably talking about Israel and the Jewish people. This is like, that's anti-Semitism. To imply anyone who is Jewish has a connection to Israel. That's dual loyalty shit. That's like, that the implication of like, well, they're not really totally from here. They're also from here, no matter what. That place, some of them no connection to, don't like, hate the relatives that they know from there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're having that forced on them because of what I guess their faith or, genetic. Like it's like obscene. It's really fucked up. And also, and again, what he's saying isn't even true. The Democrats used to be pro-Israel. Buddy, what about the last year and a half suggests the Democratic Party is not pro-Israel? Because they gave them what does this fucking pathetic mewling baby want? How could the Democratic Party have been more pro-Israel than they were? By giving them everything they wanted. A government that was directly opposed, that interfered in our elections. The thing we were all crying, people, not me, that so many people were crying about that Russia supposedly did. Israel actively interferes in our elections. And that's fine. They got everything they wanted. We don't even let them get meaningless resolutions at the UN. We don't even let those happen. And this guy is like the Democrats used to be pro-Israel. Well, if you're talking about some supporters, I don't think many of those people in those camps would call themselves Democrats. They almost assuredly mostly vote Democrat, but I don't think they'd be like, I'm a Democrat. It really is more, the Democrats used to nominally pretend to have an interest in a two-state solution, and then they just completely given up on that and thrown that in the garbage. That's what's really been walked away from. Josh Shapiro, to his, I guess, credit, he doesn't bite. He just goes, well, Bill, one of my ads when I was running for governor is, it was us at Shabbat, sitting down at Shabbat dinner, because that's what we do every Friday night. And when I went to these small towns where, he's a line where he's like, when I show up, I increase the Jewish population by 100%. And those people come up to me and they go, here's what I do. And my family does it. Our family dinner table on Fridays. And I'm like, no, this feels like a lie. But I can't imagine people actually said that thing. They probably were more like, I don't know. What are you going to do about feed prices or whatever? But good for him for not falling for it, for not taking this guy's weird racist bait. Scratch my face. That's what that noise was. That whole statement, and then he's just rambling. He has to be cut off by Josh Shapiro. He's just the use, come on, man. You knew this guy was coming on. Write the fucking question. Be, for fuck's sake, prepared. Will not do it. Just his guest has to hey, can I answer your fucking question? He's like, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm quite bad at this. Happens all the time. And then does fucking dual loyalty, uses Israel, Jewish people, uses them interchangeably with each other. And anti-Semitism is extremely on the rise. But to him, it's just the anti-Israel stuff, because he doesn't fucking know what's going on. I hate this fucking toad. So as he's going over to talk to his panel, who are Sam Stein, who is, I think, the senior editor or the head chief editor, editor-in-chief of the Bulwark, and, oh God help us, Batya Ungar-Sargon, who, well, okay, so before I get into her, so this is what he says as he's walking over to the desk.
Politics, huh?
Politics, huh? Yeah, good point. You're right. Yeah. You know what? I never thought about it like that. Politics, huh? So, Batya Ungar-Sargon, she used to write for, I think, Jewish Currents? Maybe The Forward? I don't remember. But I thought she simply did a right-wing grift where she was like, well, there's a lot of money in this and I have no scruples and no morals, so I'll just go full right-wing. I am, of course, anti-Palestinian and always have been, but I think I can really push that further. She at one point refers to herself as a MAGA socialist. And while she's explaining what that means, when they cut to the wide, Sam Stein's face is, So fucking funny. And Sam Stein is okay. I've liked a lot of his reporting. Of course, when they get into, the Columbia student stuff, his response is not so great because at the end of the day, look, he doesn't write for the Intercept or Drop Site News, so he's going to have a bad take on it. She laughs like a lunatic. Listen to her laugh here when she's telling Bill Maher's like, well, I'm not, he says something about not voting for Trump.
And
I mean, the night is young, Bill.
it is not ever going to be that young.
That's the Joker. That's the Joker that released the laughing gas. Well, the night is young, Bill. That's fucking upsetting. You're upsetting the children, Batya. Okay? The children are here. They came to visit, and you've scared the shit out of them. I hope you're proud of yourself. Don't. Stop it. Knock it off. It's a deeply unsettling laugh, especially in conjunction with "I'm a MAGA socialist," and then she tries to claim essentially that Donald Trump. She essentially tries to claim he's like left wing. She's like, they've been socially conservative, and then he came along, and now they're not. They're anti-war, and this is what she says. She's like, he's pro-gay, and this is pro-life stuff.
And he sidelined the pro-life wing of his party.
He has changed the party, for sure.
Okay, so he believes abortion should be legal for 12 weeks.
For 12 weeks. Buddy, if you believe in abortion only up to 12 weeks, you are anti-abortion. That is not nearly enough time. I, of course, am, for all intents and purposes, from the theoretical level, right up until the moment of birth. Because I feel like up until then, it's a part of the mother, and, theoretically the father in many cases as well, such as if the father counts as a victim if, say, someone kills or harms the mother and the baby that is in utero. I don't have to go into all the specifics. Anyway, right up until moment of consent, but really, the sort of compromise point is supposed to be like 6 or 7 months is generally where the disingenuous people try to point it, even though I think I saw Sam Cedar make the very good, it's like once you put restrictions on it, the restrictions just go further and further and further. Like it does become a thing where he made the point of, it's up to this point or, unless the mother's life is in danger. And it's like, well, it's not like there's a light bulb that goes off over the mother if her life is in danger. The doctor has to make that call, and the doctor is going to call it on the side of protecting themselves almost all the time. And the hospital will also try to get them to do that. So women will die because of those restrictions is the point he makes. So all that to say, he's very much a pro-life president. He's very much, Sam Stein makes the point, when she's like, anti-war, and he's like, yeah, he's trying to wind down the war between Ukraine and Russia, but he's also threatened to invade Canada, annex Greenland. That is not an anti-war president. You can't claim to be anti-war and threaten allies with force to steal their territory. He's very competent. He's a very competent guy, Sam Stein. Like I said, I have liked a lot of his reporting. I was disappointed the way he describes the Palestinian guy, the former grad student at Columbia who was kidnapped by ICE. This is a line they're kind of talking about bringing back manufacturing. And Bill Maher, I think, actually makes an okay point where he's like, why it's not the 1970s. Why manufacturing? And Batya Ungar Sargon, her whole thing is, well, in the 70s, that's when, you could have these jobs. It was when the middle class had the biggest share of the wealth. She keeps saying GDP, and Bill Maher's like, they produced the biggest share of the GDP. And she goes, yes, but that's not what she means. She's an idiot. I now think she's an idiot and insane. I think that's her whole deal now. If I could be reductive, that's what her deal seems to be to me. She's saying that, and it's this thing where it's like, well, look, that's all arbitrary. You could make any job a good job that pays well with good benefits. Manufacturing was not a job you could support your family on by virtue of it being manufacturing. It was that because people who worked in those jobs fought for those rights and made it happen. There's no reason you can't support, your family with one person working at a fast food place. There's no reason that couldn't be a possibility. We've just decided that's not a real job. Manufacturing is the real job. And Bill Maher makes he's like, they're talking about AI and how AI will replace a lot of those workers anyway. Because this is all in the service of her defending the tariffs, the inexplicable tariffs that make no sense that he's, in on and out on, and there's going to be tariffs. Okay, I had a good call. Now there's not. And Bill Maher says this when they're talking about AI.
Which, by the way, if you create new jobs, who's going to take them? Robots.
By the way, if you make new jobs, guess who's going to take them? Robots. Why does he say it like that? Like robots. He's so close to doing a robot voice. And he would have made all our days. I wouldn't have been able to do that. If he'd done that, I would have been like, folks, I don't know if I can do the fucking episode, because he did something so genuinely funny. This week, I might verge into, I respect Bill Maher. Of course he didn't do that. I'm not worried about that ever actually happening.
Which, by the way, if you create new jobs, who's going to take them? Robots.
Robots. If you create new jobs, guess who's going to take them? Beep, boop, robots. Fuck, man. That's such a good... I laughed so hard when I heard him say that. And, like, he's so confident when he says it. He's like... He, like, leans forward. He really fucking looks like a turtle. He's, like, leaning forward. And his, like, big frowny mouth. It's really fucking good, man. Okay. So then they segue over to... Sam Stein starts talking about how it's like, manufacturing. He's like, really, though, the country... We used to be the world leader in, like, scientific research... and bio-research, biomedical research, and now, again, it's like, I am always uncomfortable with the way China is talked about, in the sense of, like, they're always talked about as being our enemy. It's just, I wouldn't have made it through the Cold War, man, because the whole time I would have been like, really, are they all bad? Is it everything they do, but there's nothing, maybe it would be okay if the Soviet Union led on to, I don't know. But he's, it's like, then we'll really be losing to China. It's like, we could lose to other places too. South Korea could kick this incel shit. India could, make a great leap forward. Who knows? But it's China. It's China they're all afraid of. They talk about how, and another thing they talk about with the biomedical research is, it's like the teams that supervise, potential pandemics or, pandemic preparedness, and Bill Maher and Sam Stein make the point of, like, Sam Stein, I think, is the one who goes, Ebola cost us like $4.5 billion because we weren't prepared for it. And they're making the point, it's like, it's cheaper to have these small crews monitoring this shit and preparing for it, because when it happens, and it will happen, there will be more theoretical pandemics and more outbreaks of really horrific diseases. We'll be ready, and we can, push back the worst possible consequences. Of course, they don't really make her address that. Batya Ungar Sargon, they don't make her... they're not like, so don't you feel stupid now? They don't do anything. That would not be the way to do it, but they don't say anything. And then Bill Maher comes back to this thing when he's still he goes back to trying to kind of talk to her about, like, you're not worried about Trump at all. Because she's like, no, he's great. She's really does seem like criminally, like, looks like a Batman villain. And he asks her this.
But you're not worried about, like, I mentioned the North Korea.
So, like, there is this tweet that it was like, it said something like, Americans Americaing very Americanly. And then in quotes it says, what are we, a bunch of Asians? And they were talking more, I would say, about, like, what are we, the Taliban? Like that kind of thing. But this is like being like, only what are we, North Koreans? The way none of you will admit when Donald Trump does something wrong. It's like, buddy, we've had lots of those guys throughout history. Like, getting like a text or a phone call or something at 10 to, ladies and gentlemen, this is unprecedented. Oh, it is, Diego McCafferty has texted me about myself and Brian Brown, the other guy in our group chat, has texted me about, or both of us, about AEW Dynamite. The first 25 minutes are apparently very good. I've heard that. We also create figures in this country, like particularly, like as far, for me personally, the place I see it in modern times is it starts with Reagan, the guys who continue to defend him over like Iran-Contra, Bush, certainly, I mean, Bush, Reagan really had the idea of like Republicans never criticize other Republicans, and they have stuck with that ever since. So like, this is not new behavior. And for him to be like, well, it's like we're in North Korea. It's like, no, it's not. It's like we're in America and they're the fucking Republican Party. That's what it's like. It's not, oh, we're acting like these crazy East Asians who love to worship a man. Like, no, we're doing what we do in this country and have been doing for 45 years. I just wanted to get that off my chest. That's what the whole show is. I just wanted to get that off my chest. And for him to say it twice on the show, like that's what a great point he thinks it is. Like, I got to come back to this. What are we, North Koreans thing? Okay, so next he gives an example of the way how Trump is a fucking, I mean, this administration is fucking just like the things it's cut. It doesn't know anything. It's this example he gives, and I remember when this happened. It's really nuts, and she laughs through it as if she should not be ashamed to be supporting this.
But like in his speech, he said that we are spending money, the waste thing, all the money we're wasting on transgender mice, and it wasn't. We're not making mice transgender. It was. I bring up this example because it's plain. There's no fuzz on it. It's transgenic. It's mice that have been genetically modified to study cancer. But he said transgender in a speech to the world, and nobody corrects him. That is not alarming to you?
No. Why would that be alarming? It only flies in the face of everything I've been claiming and everything I believe. Why would you have... Later on, he does his thing of describing someone as a serious person. This is such an unserious person. And you're going to have them on your show, and her like giggling through this. And it's like, hey, you're the fucking idiot who fucking has been vocally championing this guy. And he's trying to cut valuable funds for valuable biomedical research. And you're like, no, it doesn't dissuade me at all. Well, it's because you're completely unmoored from reality. Now, if you've gotten to this point, you might be a little worried because, yeah, I got mad at his doing the fucking racist thing of, what are we, a bunch of Asians? But really, I've really been going after BSU. I've really been going after BSU. For some reason, I was trying to remember the name Brigham Young because I was going to call her Brigham Young University. But in my head, what I was trying to remember, it was the school is BSU, but it's not. It's BYU. But in my head, I got it mixed up. So that's why there was that pause there. I was trying to remember a thing that was incorrect and doesn't exist. So how could I have remembered it? But I remembered what I thought I wanted to remember. It wasn't what I thought it was. You might be like, well, is this going to be one of those episodes where Bill Maher's fine? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'd like to present to you Exhibit A. Now, I'm going to give you the first half of this clip. And it's a little weird. Also, the crowd is just laughing through that whole last thing, too. And he's being so serious about it. Why isn't he laughing about that? He's being deadly serious, not laughing about it. Now he laughs as he's transitioning into this next thing. Listen to the first half of this.
Let me interrupt to bring the feel shit story of the week. A man in Texas shot his fiancée, who was Mexican-born, and before he did, he Googled, "Can I kill an illegal human?"
Okay, so that's the setup. He laughs as he's coming into it. And, of course, Sam Stein and BSU also laugh because they're like, oh, well, it's clearly maybe we're leading into some funny story. Once he actually says what it is, Sam Stein goes, oh, I don't think Batya Ungar Sargon notices that she really puts it together that she should have a different reaction than she is. But you hear that segue, just think, just consider. I'm going to go get a drink. Just consider what you think that should be segueing into. I want you to picture what the next thing he says is going to be, because I guarantee you, you will not believe what this is segueing into. Let me play you what the second half of this is that's being set up.
And we thought this would be a good time to do one of our departments that we do from time to time called Revealing Google Searches, because
a racist act of intimate partner violence in which a man attempted to kill his fiancée because of her race is what they use as the setup to the silly mid-show comedy bit, which also has a wacky jingle. That's what that's for. It's like being like, yeah, they discovered mass graves and, and more mass graves in Cambodia. And speaking of which, that reminds me of things you wouldn't want to see while your priest is giving mass. Like, this is an insane segue. This is a pure madness to do this. It's nightmarish. How does it go through? How does nobody be like, can we have any other segue into this? And this bit stinks. This poor woman had a horrific hate crime, a racially motivated hate crime done to her by her fiance, presumably someone she would have trusted, all in the service of an absolutely atrocious comedy bit. That's what the horrible crime she suffered, it is invoked to set up revealing Google searches. Oh, hey, hey, Jay Leno, I wish you hadn't. I wish you hadn't referenced, the time a bunch of skinheads ran me over with their truck as a segue into stupid pet tricks or whatever the fuck. That'd be Letterman. As a segue into, jaywalking. Maybe there's another way into jaywalking than those skinheads running me over with their truck. I don't know. Food for thought. This guy, he's like, a guy did a racist attempted murder on his fiancée. Now that you're ready to laugh, here are some fucking revealing oh my God, this bit. The first one, Zelensky. Dress code for visiting White House. Elon Musk. Effects of long-term ketamine use. Next one, Carla Sofia Gascon. How to delete old tweets. How that award season is completely over. And I'm sure it's like, well, it's not meant to be recent, but like, that is so out of the news now. It could not be more. The time for these jokes are done, over, dead. The Oscars was the end of these jokes. And a woman's racially motivated attempted murder, so he could make Carla Sofia Gascon, how to delete old tweets. Marjorie Taylor Greene, in what country would you find the Panama Canal? I mean, it's okay. So you're trying to portray her as stupid. Also, if these are supposed to be actual Google searches, it should be Panama Canal, what country, ? That's how people search on Google, especially stupid people. In what country would you find the Panama Canal? Does that sound like Marjorie Taylor Greene to you? Why is a stupid person writing in Google in such complete sentences? It boiled my blood, this one. That is not how you search on Google. Panama Canal, what country? Question mark. No question mark, even. Panama Canal, what country? It's funnier, it's shorter. It makes her seem stupider, which is the punchline. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Google, in what country would you find the Panama Canal? That's terrible. Structurally, God, unacceptable. Irresponsible, even. A woman's racially motivated attempted murder for, in what country would you find the Panama Canal? Marjorie Taylor Greene, 2025. Pete Hegseth, tips for memorizing the alphabet backwards. I mean, that one should just be alphabet backwards. That should be the whole Google search. Tips for memorizing the because if it's just alphabet backwards, then it could conjure up the funny image of him during a DUI check, pulling out his phone and trying to Google the alphabet backwards while they're at, tips for memorizing the alphabet backwards. It's all the same voice. This is not how you write fucking comedy. And I know this is current day, so, but I'm sorry. Some of these are fundamentally wrong, structurally wrong. It's alphabet backwards, alphabet but backwards, alphabet said backwards. How to say alphabet backwards. Tips for memorizing the alphabet backwards. Fucking awful. Travis Kelce, how to break up with someone that won't take it well. He's really obsessed with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. It's really strange how fucking hung up on them he is. Luigi Mangione, ways to look less pretty in prison. Of course, we all know, how could this man, it's a roundabout way, but how could this man ever not take advantage of a potential to joke about sexual assault in men's prisons? Also, from what people say, the whole reason, a big part of the reason he's looking so pretty is because they're taking good care of him in jail because the other inmates like him because he did a crime they think is cool. Bianca Sensori, clothing stores not near me. Clothing stores not near me. Bianca Sensori, she wears clothes. Not. Clothing stores not near me. Why would she be Googling that? Clothing stores not near. How does that make any sense? Because she wore the naked dress. Clothing stores not clothing stores near me. It fundamentally makes no sense. And maybe I'm being the joke pedant here, but this makes absolutely no fucking sense. Clothing stores not near me. Well, if you're saying she doesn't wear clothes, why would she even be Googling that? You'd be like, well, that's the joke. The joke is the Google. Well, then find somebody else to fucking do it with. And then last one is Lindsey Graham, does Grindr work on a burner phone? Oh, no, that's not the last one. The last one is Trump, what do tariffs do? So a horrific act of racially motivated intimate partner violence used as the segue into this, a stale premise with such a lazy, worthless, not even properly executed execution. In what country would you find the Panama Canal? Panama Canal, what country? That's the fucking joke. This is as mad as I've ever been doing this show. Look, I can take a bad bit. I can handle his absolutely inhuman, insensitive treatment of really horrific, serious news events. But to have a terrible, terrible comedy bit and have the segue be this horrific, unbelievably upsetting crime where the crowd's going, oh, imagine you're leading into your mid-show comedy bit and the crowd's going, oh. That's just not how you do it. Unless you've got fucking dynamite around the corner, man. Unless the fucking scariest, ugliest woman is around that dumpster and it's all going to be worth it. Not in what country would you find the Panama Canal? Panama Canal, what country? That is how you search on Google. For fuck's sake. That's the end of the bit. He doesn't even, it's not even, maybe it could have been a little okay if then he'd been like, so listen, this kind of violence or, what's happening with immigration, pulling at my shirt collar, green holders being like kidnapped as they're trying to re-enter the country. That's the segue into this, of being like, of course, there's a lot of, violence being done by the state against immigrants. You want to be a fucking dumbass, shitty little, I'm a stinker. Fine, use it to segue into the next thing. Nope. Next topic, free speech. He does a both sides kind of free speech thing, but he starts off, he's like, the left, and I've criticized them. I don't know if you guys have heard, he's criticized the left. This was news to me. I had not heard that he has in the past criticized the left. Apparently he has, so, good for him. Congratulations. I hope that having no one in your life who loves you, I hope that having criticized the left in the past makes up for that. But he's talking about, I can't remember the guy's name, I forgot to write it down, the former Columbia grad student who was the leader of the protest for Palestine, who was kidnapped. He committed no crime. He was kidnapped by DHS. Marco Rubio was like, yeah, we're going to get rid of him because we don't like him. And this is what Bill Maher says about it.
Means I say it all the time when it's on the other foot, and I can't change because it's now this guy. It's defending the dirtbags you hate.
Now, I don't know why we have to call him a dirtbag. I know why Bill Maher has to call him a dirtbag. But, it's just this, like, this whole segment, it's like, I saw some people being like, he has principles. And it's like, yeah, but this is very much we shouldn't invade Iraq because we should invade North Korea situation, where he is like, this man should not be deported, but I do hate him, and he is the ultimate scum of the earth. He's a dirtbag, he says, and then he goes on to say this about him.
And I think that's true. I don't think they have anything on this guy other than he's saying things that I can't believe kids believe now. I did not see this coming, this bizarre alliance of jihadism and wokeism.
Jihadism. It's wokeism and jihadism. Hey, man, it's kids against a genocide. And I know he doesn't see it as a but it's this delusion, this, and he is willfully ignorant to have shut himself out to what is actually going on, what was actually going on campuses. It's still a little bit, but you can only get your fucking head smashed in by the cops so many times before you're like, I think I need a break from these protests. So, I understand why they wouldn't be doing those on college campuses. Wokeism and jihadism, like, as if all Palestinians are what? Jihadists. I mean, the whole point is they are slaughtering, Israel is slaughtering en masse innocent civilians. And like, people will point out the women and children numbers. I gotta say, I also have a bit of a problem with the innocent men being killed too. Maybe I'm being a little selfish there, or only looking at, considering my own situation. But like, I don't think innocent men should be killed either. And it's, story after story of the specific targeting of children, innocent civilians. They're not letting aid in. Israel protecting gangs that are raiding the aid shipments that do get let in. Settlers cheering on the horrific death tolls of violence. Essentially, the entirety of Gaza having been leveled. And this, like, it's wokeism and jihadism. It's just like, if there were a responsible press, this wouldn't just be allowed to happen. And Sam Stein does not check him on any of this shit. He's like, I also, as a Jewish American, think his, closeness with Hamas and his support is disgusting and terrible. Like, nobody mentions, hey, what was this guy actually talking about? What was this guy's cause? It was not, what? To exterminate the Jews? No, it was never that. Hold up, Bill Maher.
Infitada is the only solution. Really? Infitada is the only solution? That's where this guy is.
Infitada.
And wokeism. Infitada is the only solution. Really? Infitada?
Infitada. Nobody corrects him. Nobody goes, hey, it's intifada. Infitada. 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 Like, I'm sorry, you cannot sit there and think and try to act as if you know what's going on when you are saying they're out there calling for infitada. What is that, an egg dish at brunch? What's an infitada? Is it Spanish for infant? Oh, you mean intifada. Right. Yeah, no, I should have known that's what you meant, because you're one of the dumbest human beings alive. Yeah, I should have assumed that's what you were saying. But I forgot for a second that you are worthlessly stupid. Globalize the infitada. Infitada, man. I can't believe. Also, it's not the only. I mean, it's that can be a part of the chant, but we'd all love it if intifada didn't have to be a part of the solution. We'd love it if the solution could just be peaceful with no protests and just happen right now. And again, nobody actually saying, what was this guy about? What was this guy protesting for? What were these protests about? None of that is mentioned. Also, BSU, very silent during this stuff. I don't think she agrees with the majority here.
Is the only solution that's where this guy is. I think it's horrible. He hates this country. He hates Western civilization.
He hates this country. He hates Western civilization. Well, he has immigrated here and wants to live here, and his wife and child are here. So he can't hate them that much. He hates Western civilization. Yeah, I mean, I think he certainly hates a lot of aspects of it. I think the colonialism probably gets under his skin, as it has almost assuredly led to the deaths of many, 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 many of his family members, and also probably close friends. But like, nobody quotes him. There's no quotes from him. This is like what I'm saying. We shouldn't invade Iraq when North Korea is right there. You know, in the process of, you know, hey, it's wrong what they're doing to this guy. And then you give that a little, and then you spend so much more time just smearing this guy and refusing to actually say what his beliefs are, quote him on anything. I mean, infitada. Infitada. It's unbelievable. Am I nuts? Is it infitada? I'm now starting to think it's infitada. But deep in my heart, I know it is intifada. Because I remember at the protests, a young woman who seemed very nice chanting intifada, intifada. Also, and then after that, she was like, we'd all kind of stopped in like, I think it's Nathan Phillips Square, and it was not Nathan Phillips Square. That is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. She was like, okay, we're going to do like a clapping chant now. And I like looked around at all the white people and I want to be like, no, don't do it. None of us have rhythm. And you're probably like, oh, Will, that's so corny. We could not do the clap. We could not do the clapping chant. No one was on rhythm. It was crazy. Like, if you love racial stereotypes in that moment, no racial stereotype had ever been more true than white people have no rhythm, because we fell to pieces trying to do that. And she gave us a polite smile and just went back to just the chanting. It was humiliating for all of us, but also I think we all shared a bit of a chuckle in that moment. Infitada. He said infitada, right? Am I
really not see this coming? This bizarre alliance of jihadism and wokeism?
Ugh, he makes me fucking sick.
You know, infitada is the only solution. Really? Infitada is the only solution? That's where this guy is. I think it's horrible.
Infitada.
He hates this country. He hates Western civilization.
Infitada. I'm getting back in my chair. I got up to get upset at my wife and tell her about this. And she was like, you'd think a guy who hates Muslims that much would know the word. And I just had this moment where I was like, well, he can't actually be that worried about this. He can't even remember what the fucking word is. Imagine someone being like, I have the generational trauma of the Holocaust. And you're like, you mean the Holocaust? And you're like, yes, that. You'd be like, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm not sure if you do have that generational trauma. You couldn't remember the word. Clavery still haunts me. Clavery? You mean slavery? Oh, yeah, that's it. Infitada. It's hard not to just sit with infitada. And here's the reason I'm really freaking out about this. I didn't even fucking pick up on this when I clipped that. When I first clipped that, I was so focused on what he was saying about this guy. Just putting words in his mouth, not letting him speak at all, not quoting him. And then listening to it now, I'm like, oh my God, INFITADA. INFITADA, INFITADA. Globalize the INFITADA. This used to be a country that knew things. So because Betya Ungar Sargon, because she doesn't say anything here other than this.
We were talking a little bit about this.
By the way, neither of us could predict which way you were going to go on this. 'Cause you're such an independent thinker. It's a very cool thing.
I will say,
It's very cool that no one can tell what your principles are. I mean, she's an idiot. Like I said, she's an idiot. But I do, hearing that, it's like that fucking pathetic suck-up job. I mean, I do gotta... I have no choice. And I wanted it to... I fucked up. I couldn't find it. I forgot to put it in, and now I'm trying to find it. But just as I'm talking, and it's going to be really loud, too, because I usually play with the volume levels. But, like, obviously, I've been so irritated with her. I have no choice but to give Betya Ungar Sargon Worm of the Week. Why did the volume cut out? It fucked up. I had that timed not so well. I was kind of sputtering, not really saying anything, waiting for the pause to come in. But I don't know why the sound cut out. Look, fuck you. Fuck you for thinking I have to be perfect. So Sam Stein is like, this is a no-brainer. It's like, look, Sam Stein is also doing the, like, I'm disgusted by this man's beliefs, but he still has the right to say them. But he does do some true sucker shit here when he says this. Because I don't want to be too complimentary to this guy, because I always rag on the fucking guests.
Then Abigail Shrier, she'd been on.
Oh, I didn't actually clip it. Oh, fuck. Well, Sam Stein is just shocked that he's like, the supposed free speech advocates and none of them are speaking up right now. It's like, yeah, because they don't believe in free speech. They don't actually. They just don't want the horrific things they believe to be criticized, but they do want speech they don't like to be silenced. And like, sorry, where is TP USA, right? Where is Toilet Paper USA in all this? It's like, well, they're loving it. They're advocating for this. Grow up. Anyway, you heard the name Abigail Shrier, so now he's talking about how the left does it. This is how the left does it.
On our show, you're familiar. She wrote a book called Unvarnished Truth, I think it's called. Anyway, she has a contrary view to the far left about transgender.
Now, you're going to get a good, insightful, fair, honest perspective on an issue when a person goes, they have a differing view from the left on transgender. That's who I trust to know what's legit on the issue of transgender. Come on, man. You're doing the thing where like fucking Republicans will be like the Democrat Party. We all know that's because you hate it. Let him finish here.
She's a very serious person. It's a serious subject. It's a serious book. The ACLU, of all people, tried to ban it.
So he sounds like a fucking loser when he's trying to be so. He sounds like a baby. He's like a cry. She is a very serious person with a very serious book on a very serious issue. It's like, shut up, you fucking loser. But, also no, she's not. She's not a serious person. It's not a serious book. It's fucking pseudoscientific dog shit. Like it's based on just sort of hatred. It doesn't hold up. The book has nothing backing it. It's like, that's why people are constantly criticizing it. And this thing where the ACLU tried to ban her book. I don't know specifically what he's referring to, other than a lawyer for the ACLU was essentially saying, we want it taken out of circulation. We're going to get it taken out of circulation. They didn't say the ACLU. I couldn't find any lawsuits the ACLU did. Genuinely, if you have more information about like concrete steps the ACLU might have taken, maybe let me know. Cause like, I didn't see any. It seems like it's just one lawyer for the ACLU being like, we want this taken out of circulation, because that lawyer is trans, and the book is filled with lies, and Abigail Schreier is not a serious person. You just hate trans people. So you will happily, and I mean, you want, like, oh, it's a serious person. Like, this guy, his ability to grasp science, I mean, the next topic, it's going to really rear its ugly head again, how fucking little this guy knows and how easily duped, and I mean, not easily duped, he wants to be duped. Willingly, like, lovingly, he gets duped. He loves to be duped. Fucking puts a ball gag in his mouth and is like, oh, dupe me, mommy. Like, she's not serious. She's not a serious person. And the ACLU, as far as I get, is not trying to ban this book. Like, this is the fuck. So it's on one side, we have the federal government has kidnapped a man for the act of peaceful protest. They have kidnapped him. They are trying to deport him. He has a wife and a new baby in this country. He has committed no crime. And Bill Maher's like, that's wrong. He hasn't done anything. But the left does it too, because a lawyer for the ACLU says they want a book filled with dog shit, a dog shit book filled with lies and junk science. They want it taken out of circulation. Those are the same things to him. You can't talk about these two things in the same breath. They are not related at all. They are not similar, these two things. They're not the same problem. They aren't. They're both a free speech issue. No. One of them is a potential consumer backlash. The other one is the federal government disappearing a man for criticizing an ally of the United States. Those are not related to each other, aside from in the most macro possible way. Like, you have to fucking pull your microscope out so far back to be like, I can see these two things together in my lens. I mean, how can you take a man like this seriously? How can this guy try to, well, I'm fair. I'm about both sides. Well, you're not fair because you're treating a truly fascistic behavior the same as people being mad about a bad book filled with bad science that comes from a hateful place and was written to hurt a minority of American citizens. That's what it's not. Oh, well, hey, let's not, don't be a fucking rube, okay? Well, they're just asking questions is what it's all about. If they're just asking questions, there would be people on their side with any credible knowledge of any of this shit. It's fucking infuriating. And I saw some people trying to give him credit for this. It's like, no, don't give him fucking credit for this. You don't get credit for doing as little of the right thing as possible, and then also giving more credence to the right who's like, well, they do it too. Like, enabling these fucking pieces of shit by equating these two things. Because one lawyer from the ACLU was like, we want this book out of circulation. That's the same as the federal government disappearing a man over political speech. No pushback on relating those two things together, by the way. But also it's because Bill Maher just fucking talks. He talks for like 3 straight minutes and doesn't let them get anything in, and then he moves on. I mean, he's not done with the Abigail Schreier thing either. He says this.
She said she asked her husband, Google, who would...
Because he's talking about how the AIs, the algorithms, he's like, they're not neutral. He gives an example of like some insanely stupid shit that Grok said. And then he's like, oh, also there's the Google one. Hold on, I'll go back.
It's a serious book. The ACLU...
It's a serious book. Fuck you. God, you're a fucking baby. It's a serious book. God, what a fucking little fucking... What a worm he seems like.
You, of all people, tried to ban it.
You, of all... ACLU, how dare you, good sir?
She said she asked her husband, Google, who was more dangerous to society, Abigail Schreier or Chairman Mao? And AI said, it's hard to say.
So, not to defend Google. One, we all know AIs are wrong all the fucking time. First of all, it's like, what? To act like this is like, yeah, man, AIs stink. They don't fucking know any, like, it's political correctness run amok amongst the AIs. Like, here's the other thing, though. Mao Zedong is dead. Chairman Mao is dead. And Maoism is dead. It's been dead for like 45 years. Since like 1980, they did all the reforms. There were all the reforms in China. Who is threatened by Chairman Mao? Who is in danger from Mao Zedong? Not me. I can't think of anyone who would be in danger from Chairman Mao. Because as I said, he's dead. He is dead. To quote Mad Max, to quote Max Rokotowski, they are long dead. They cannot hurt me, for they are long dead. And so I think the AI actually did some credible analysis here. God forbid I give it up to Google or an AI, but I think it's right. Abigail Shrier, who's like junk science is harmful, is a bigger threat than Chairman Mao at this moment in time. If you want to talk about all the deaths from the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, okay, we could have the conversation about the past. Who was more dangerous in the past? Who was more of a threat to life in the past? Well, a threat to life, it clearly was Chairman Mao. But right now, this day, it's Abigail Shrier. Abigail Shrier, she could renounce everything she's ever said. She could pulp this book. She's still a greater threat than Chairman Mao because she could fucking hit me with her car. He is dead. He can't do anything. And his ideology is also dead. It's gone. They're not doing Maoism in China. So Google AI was 100% correct here. 100% correct. Again, nobody corrects him. Nobody goes, well, hold on. Mao's dead. They don't do Maoism in China anymore. And Abigail Shrier could, trip, could be visiting my home, trip, and knock a television into my bathtub while I'm taking a bath, and I get electrocuted. That's more likely than Mao hurting me. What's Mao going to do? The only way Chairman Mao could hurt me now is if he rose from the dead and consumed my flesh as a zombie or a ghoulie. It's the only way. I guess some guy who's obsessed with the tenets of Maoism, because I don't know what kill me. It's not like I'm a landlord. Like, what would they even hurt me for? Like, also, and again, that anecdote is just like, also, it's so fucking stupid. Like, I had my husband, why have her husband do? Also, I had my husband do it. Why did your husband do it? Why don't you do it? Do you think that's, oh, well, the AI is going to be like, oh, well, she's asking me, so I got to say Mao. I don't want her to know that it could maybe be her. I'm just going to say Mao if she asks. Well, what does that do? Why have your husband do it? That story is so strange. This man, the stories he recounts are weird. He's a weird guy. He's a weird guy who gets hung up on fucking really, really weird things. It is the 5-year anniversary of the start of the COVID shutdowns, and his segue, he says, so currently only 26% of people trust scientists to act in the best interests of the country. And I was like, that seems really low, even for America. Like, it seems like, they'd at least get almost all the Democrats and a tiny sliver of Republicans, and maybe some independent. Like, it seems like they'd probably hit 50%, which still would be upsettingly low. I'm pretty sure I found so he doesn't say what poll he used, but I found a poll about this, and it had the 26% in it. The poll said 26% of Americans have a great deal of trust in scientists. An additional 50% have a fair amount of trust. And it is up from last year when it was at 73% overall. And this year also ended the trend of decline for opinion of scientists that started in November 2020 among the American population. So this is all a lie. This is all horse shit. Like, maybe I'm looking at the wrong poll, but the 26% is in there, and I Googled the fucking thing. He's fundamentally incorrect. This whole premise is a fucking lie, because this guy is an asshole who's fucking upset, who's sure he knows everything, and is like, science doesn't know anything. Look, we don't trust them because of the COVID lockdowns. It's because of COVID. This is a long clip. This is like a minute long, this clip. Imagine him looking crazier and crazier as he goes on. He's like he looks like he's in a like he's fucking Muhammad Ali in a boxing match. Like, he's absolutely floating like a butterfly, like fucking moving his head around, like ducking and weaving at the desk. Listen, you can hear how fucking mad he gets.
They tell us, and people are saying, and I would agree, a lot of this comes from how we handled the pandemic. Now, you don't find that in the liberal media too much. They just blame the pandemic itself. Well, it wasn't the pandemic. It's the way they handled it. And this new gentleman we have who's head of the NIH, Jay Bhattacharya, I mean, he was part of the group called the Great Barrington Declaration. That's the piece they wrote that said they were not for lockdowns because they said the long-term effects are going to be worse. Things like depression, anxiety, suicide rates, loneliness, obesity rates. People didn't get screening tests. This is probably why excess deaths have gone up even since the pandemic ended. Car crashes, that to me is the most indicative. Car crash, for a long time they couldn't figure out why car crashes, because it just made people fucking nuts. That's why. People just got out on the road and went bananas. So I guess that's my question here, is 5 years on, what are the lessons and what do you think?
Okay. First of all, what are we in fucking high school debate class? 5 years, what are the lessons and what do we... like, sir, come up with a fucking question. I know you really want to rant and rave about this. Come up with a question. Also, Jay Bhattacharya, like, the idea of being like the guy who's the new head of the NIH. It's like, oh, is he in the Trump? Okay, well, I don't know why you'd reference him to be like, well, this credible guy said this with his credible organization. This guy's a crank who has also been legitimizing other cranks. The fucking Bulworth, Kathy Young, who is a horrific piece of shit. Awful. She fucking hates this guy and thinks he's a crank. And thinks he's legitimizing, like, even worse cranks. They put a fucking article up about it like 6 days ago. She wrote a fucking op-ed. I'm sure Bill Maher fucking loves Kathy Young. He should read what she wrote about it. I didn't take the time. I read like the first paragraph. I was like, this is good enough. I hate this woman. Like, he is just a contrarian loser, fucking Jay Bhattacharya. Like, but again, it's like, okay, so you've listed all the way the Trump administration. You're like, they're fucking disastrous. There's disastrous things they're doing. They don't make any sense. He makes no sense. Nobody's correcting him. And then you're like, the new head of the NIH. It's like, okay, well, if he's in the Trump administration, maybe that says something about his qualifications. And Sam Stein, he says that the lockdowns, they may have been over-torqued. And it's like, fuck off. What else? Like, so many people fucking died. And I say this over, when there's a coronavirus pandemic, why don't we just fucking do what they do in South Korea and Japan? Because that is a part of the world that has been dealing with these fucking things for a long time. Since I think like the early 1900s, they have had coronaviruses pop up. It started in South Korea. That was one of the jumping off places. And they got it so under control so quickly. So the question would be, why don't we just fucking do that? Why don't we look to them? Why don't we, you don't want to do full lockdowns? Okay, you have to get your fucking temperature taken when you go into a fucking place, when you go inside. And if you don't like that, fucking tough shit, man. Grow up. This is the most immature, pathetic country of losers who refuse to grow up. And this show is hosted by one of these guys who is still like so mad that there were lockdowns. It's like, hey, asshole, you were already in your fucking 60s. Like, so many other people lost so much more important things. I was a fucking star of a movie that came out during lockdown. Any fucking bump or assistance I might have gotten from that, gone because of the fucking pandemic. And I will say, thank God we fucking locked down. It's miserable getting COVID. I'm glad I did not die from COVID or end up in the hospital on a fucking ventilator. Like, and He has no appreciation for what this is or for how serious it was. We were over-torqued. Yeah, they're closing the schools. Guys, at one point, Bill Maher claims, like, why did we ignore natural immunity was the best way to go? Well, it wasn't. No, who says that? According to whom? Sir, you made that up. Sweden did not do well during the pandemic, and they went the natural immunity route. It was not great for them. The fucking America of the fucking Nordic countries. Amidst all that, I do just want to play this clip of him snorting.
I'm talking after this. We grew.
What the fuck, man? Like, hold on. Let me see if I can go back just to 2 seconds.
I'm talking after this. We grew.
I'm obsessed. I am obsessed.
I'm talking after this. We grew.
That is disgusting. Like, and he makes noises throughout the show. He's so gross. Lip smacking is like to just be like fucking snorting. That is repulsive, man. So this is going to end with some misogyny. This is same sign he's talking about RFK.
And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., again, is a vaccine skeptic who is now running our health institutions. It's
and we should not
horrible
be
outcome.
skeptical, even?
there's
Because
a
skepticism
difference between
is the byword of science.
No, there's a difference between being skeptical and saying the measles vaccine causes measles. That is empirically untrue, and he did that this week. I think that's going to have really bad.
He said the measles vaccine causes measles.
Yes.
Well, sometimes that could be true. I mean, when you put something in your body,
the empirical evidence around that is very.
Of
very
course
good.
it is.
Yeah.
What do you mean, of course? Yeah, of course it is. Well, you just said the opposite, you fucking disingenuous hack. Sorry that you're a fucking loser little baby, and you're like, well, of course, yeah. I'm just saying the opposite. Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, sure. That's true, but I'm just saying the opposite of that. I don't know why we have to disagree just because I'm saying something that is empirically untrue. Like, what do you mean? Well, you know, when you put something in your body, what are you putting in your body? What are you putting in your body? The measles? No, you're not. Because sometimes you put something in your body. What? Putting what? A man who knows, like, is there a better display of a guy who doesn't fucking know anything that he's talking about? And he still insists, well, you know, you put something in your body. Well, what have I put in my body? You fucking dumb shit. Tell me, because I'll tell you, that particular thing I'm putting in my body has never given anyone measles, ever. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, of course? Then why'd you say that other fucking shit?
Did he
fucking stuttering jackass?
say that also? Because I read the statement.
Well, did he say that? Because well, you didn't know the fucking last thing you were saying. You didn't know anything about that. So why are you pushing back on this?
That he made about vaccines, and it was pretty much the 180. Now, he said a lot of crazy things. He's kind of a bipolar girlfriend, this guy.
Cringe. There's no other word for it. This makes me cringe. It's embarrassing.
So, sorry you just got your fucking ass whipped on your own show by a guy who very emphatically was like, no, you're wrong. And so you want to pull out the fucking sexism card, but eat shit. Really more, it's like, well, because he does a 180. I mean, this guy does, you know, more 180s. It's like, does he do as many 180s as you when you're called out on something and don't know what the fuck you're talking about? Because I just saw a crazy 180. Like, and then he gets into fucking, and then he quotes this fluoride story. Like, I mean, they clap like crazy for that joke he just made, and then he gets into this. Of course, again. So here he is about no, but I mean, here he's not so crazy.
Give an example why people are skeptical.
Again, let me just say, it is trending up. 76% of people trust scientists to at least do fair amount of good, and it's trending up.
You know, fluoride. I've been hearing about it my whole life, and I don't really know that much about it, but I was
Isn't that an incredible thing? Fluoride. I don't know much about it.
reading the New York Times one day, and they had an
And yet here I am.
article about how Bobby Kennedy, as they do almost every day, is a maniac because he doesn't think about that fluoride. You know, he's skeptical about fluoride. That was like on the op-ed page. In the same day, in the same paper, there was an article, high fluoride exposure is linked to lower IQ in children. You didn't even read your own paper.
Well, you didn't read that article because that study was about levels of fluoride much, much higher than what is in the water system in America. So, like, you didn't read the article either. And this person may have read it and came to the conclusion of, like, well, you know, it's not a risk, the amount that's in water. And this is, I mean, it's a study. The methodology has been criticized. That happens a lot. Like, I'd be willing to wager the person who knows the least about what they're talking about here is Bill Maher. I mean, it's RFK, but it's Bill Maher, who is like the same newspaper had a story saying the opposite. It's like, it doesn't say the opposite. They're saying it's nuts to be concerned about the amount of fluoride in the water in this country, especially given the unbelievable amount of good it has done for American teeth, the teeth in this country. Whatever the opposite of 9/11 is, that's what it was for the teeth of this country. And much like the opposite of 9/11, we seem committed to always forgetting. So, I know his obsession with George Bush doesn't read the newspaper. And again, I am triggered by him saying anyone doesn't read the newspaper, didn't read a paper. It does make me think of George Bush not reading the paper. And I have, I had a seizure when I heard that, and I had to be resuscitated. I'm now recording again the next day after I've been let out of the hospital. You don't know what you're talking about. Not about fluoride, but just in this one instance. They're two completely different things, what the op-ed and what that story was talking about. And then we go to fucking new rules. That's, you know... And he talks a lot, and he does not let anybody else really get much of a word in edgewise, probably because he's afraid, because Sam Stein fucking booted him down the stairs on that fucking measles vaccine. Well, couldn't it? You put something in your body. What? What do you mean? I say this a lot. Smoke less weed. Smoke less weed.
I'm kind of with Sam on this. 3.
Oh, wait, no, this is... So BSU, she sounds reasonable, and then she's going to sound not reasonable.
And 1,000 kids who get measles die.
3 out of 1,000.
Children.
Yeah.
The most...
Yeah. Like, yeah. What are you agreeing with? You think it's bad. And they're like, yeah, no, I know. You fucking cowardly little fucking rat. Jesus.
Vulnerable who cannot advocate for themselves. And this kook is out there discouraging people from getting the measles vaccine. And
great. She's right. Maybe I've been too hard on her.
That the medical establishment be-clowned itself and got...
Be-clowned? Now, I know it is a word, but fuck off.
Got politicized during COVID out of contempt for people who don't have degrees, that led people straight into RFK Jr.'s arms, and it's going to have very dangerous impact down the road. There's a huge difference between being anti-vax and being skeptical of the COVID vaccine being forced on you when you know that the companies have been protected from liability. Those things are not the same, but in Bobby Kennedy's mind, those things are the same.
Right, and
the medical community, through its contempt for people who don't have degrees. You mean aren't doctors? Like, oh, you have contempt for me just because I don't have a fucking degree. Well, I'm a doctor, so I do have a general sense of what I'm talking about when it comes to doctorly things, and understand the issues with the medical community and the treatment, particularly women and people of color. But the flip side is, I don't think it's contemptuous to say, please, I'm a doctor, please listen to me about a pandemic. And then to be like, you know, vaccine skepticism is not the same as being skeptical of the COVID vaccine. Yeah, it is, you fucking idiot. Being forced on us. Well, okay, don't leave your home. Those are your fucking options. I'm not anti-vax just because I am anti-vax. I hate her. I hate her so much. I hate her, and I hate that she is on this show. Why? Sam Stein is a perfectly reasonable guest, and you... Hey, I'm sure I'll get an email. Hey, she's a serious person with a lot of serious skepticisms. Oh, my fucking God. Now we go to fucking new rules.
Now that Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is trying to own the libs by changing the name of the New York Strip steak to the...
the New York Strip steak. You got to put the end of the sentence on the fucking teleprompter so that it doesn't end up reading it like that.
Texas Strip.
What is that like? Ha ha. He's going to rename the New York Strip to the Texas Strip.
Yeah. Bring it on, motherfucker, because guess what?
Listen, he can't even finish the joke, and they're all screaming for him. They're laughing so applauding. It's like, let him finish the joke before you do your fake laughter. And he loves it. He basks in it. I don't pander to my audience. I don't pander to my audience. Well, your audience panders to you. So I believe that is not so different.
Guess what? Texas Hold'em, not
Nobody plays Texas Hold'em anymore.
called that anymore. But I'll be at the table if you want to play No Limit Beyonce.
Okay, so I am confused by this joke. I will admit it happens. People have corrected me in the past. Beyonce is from Texas, but it seems like the joke should be they changed Texas Hold'em to something California. I guess maybe it's because she lives in California now, but again, she's from Texas. She grew up in Texas. She's from Houston. So, like, I think he picked the word. Pick somebody. They don't have to have been born and raised here. But pick somebody who is not also from Texas. She is a bit of a Texas celeb. So, maybe I don't see what it's supposed to be. Let me know in the comments. I don't mean that. You can email me, though. I hate BillMaher@gmail.com, all one word.
Nero, someone must tell the company that's selling this loyalty ring, which tracks a man's body biometrics and alerts his partner if he gets aroused.
So let me just say this story is from the New York Post. The image for it is from the New York Post. It's like, well, this is a fake story from a joke newspaper for all intents and purposes. Like, whatever, I get you're looking for like the comedy stories, but the flip side is like, well, this is not a real thing. Like, I'm sure it exists, but tacked as if like the scourge of men, the fucking boner ring. Come on, man. This stinks. Grow up.
And he's not with her.
Who are these yahoos? It's like they fucking got the audience. They brought him over from fucking the Married with Children taping.
Hey, fuck you.
Dude, that's one of your punches. And the crowd goes, hey, fuck you. Hey, man, fuck you for writing this lazy dog shit. Hey, fuck you. Big applause line. Fuck this crowd for having no standards, for fucking encouraging this man.
Really?
Really?
Really? You're going to track our arousal now? How about this? If women get my body, my choice, then we get my boner, my business.
Listen to those men. And then some women start. I mean, this is like, it's like a non-racial Klan rally, if that makes sense. Take the racism and the politics out of a Klan rally, and you get his audience. Just a bunch of the dumbest fucking morons, most worthless people. And they're like, yeah, my boner, my business. I mean, my body, my choice, not alliteration. My boner, my whatever. It should be something with a ch sound.
New rule, you don't need this many shower heads.
It's a picture of a shower that has a bunch of shower heads.
If you have that much trouble getting up in the morning, try cocaine.
Whoa. Try cocaine if you can't wake up in the morning. Also, the shower is not about waking up. It's to get clean. So, like, it's a weird joke because it's like, why don't get in the shower to wake up? I mean, you might occasionally. Primarily, I get in the shower to clean my body. To clean my wretched physical form. That's what that's... Hey, if it takes that many shower heads to get clean, I don't know. I don't write for the show. I'm not going to give them a free punch. But, like, what? Or something about, like, the only reason you need that many shower heads is if You want 7 women to get off all at once or something. I like to wake up. Genuinely, I think of a shower head. It's 1, get clean, 1, I know women fucking honk off with them. Waking up, I don't even know where that ranks. I don't even know if that ends up on the fucking Family Feud board. It's like when you're like drunk. That's what they do in movies. Somebody's insanely drunk and they fucking throw them in the shower.
Neural Amber Kavanaugh, the woman who told the Daily Mail that she died and went to heaven and can now report to us all what heaven looks like, a field of flowers with a gazebo in the middle, has to do a better job at selling heaven.
Hey, I'm not sure that setup was fucking long enough, man. You don't think there's a better way? It has to do a better job of explaining heaven, making heaven, whatever he said. Like, they're still laughing. They're like, this is crazy. I don't think I'm nuts here. I think this is another INFITADA thing where it's so bizarre. I'm beginning to think it must be normal. Because otherwise, how could something like this happen?
Because
now that was an applause break. He just loves it. He just luxuriates in it. I don't pander to my crowd. This is hell. This would be hell for me to have an audience like this that just screams applause and cheers and claps at no matter what I say. That's not good. That doesn't feel good if you actually care about what you do, because you want to do a good job. You don't want to fucking cheat code your way through all your work if it's supposedly your passion. This lazy fucking guy.
Because that doesn't sound like paradise to me. It sounds like the park where I walk my dog. You live a life
Get ready. Get ready for this one.
of pain and suffering, and that's it? A gazebo? Because, you know, there are people out there offering 72 virgins. And if it's between that and the gazebo, all I have to say is Allahu Akbar.
I'm surprised he doesn't say Abuhu Akbar. Abuhu Bakbar? INFITADA. Globalize the INFITADA.
Neuro, someone must tell me how it is that the internet decided that the greatest mystery of all time is, how did Gene Hackman die?
So, the woman... Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me... Who made that noise?
Gene Hackman died.
Yeah. Hold on, one more time.
Is, how did Gene Hackman die? 95 years old.
Also, he mentions that his wife also died. The mystery was they were both found dead together, supposedly both of natural causes, and people were like, that seems odd for both of them to be dead. Clearly, whatever, we all know. It's being willfully obtuse.
Old and then just gone.
Like, it'd be one thing if just he died, but, like, his partner also was dead. Or his wife was also dead.
Balls in your court, real crime podcasters.
Real crime podcasters? You mean true crime? What the real crime podcasters? These are written, right? They're on. It should be on the fucking prompter. So why would they real crime podcasters?
And
the #1 show, My Preferred Killer. I love that podcast. It's huge. My Preferred Killer.
And was it really, as they're saying now, a rodent disease that killed Hackman's wife the same week? One Montana rancher says she survived the same rodent disease, and if that's true, she should really tell us if the source has been eradicated, because I think it might be living in her hair.
That is so tortured. They put up a picture of this woman. She's got like blonde on the top, and it's like really dark brown, like 2/3 of the way down. First, I don't know why taking shots at this, like a cruel shot at this woman who supposedly is a real person. Like, Why? What did she fucking do to you? But also, this is so tortured.
1 month. And was it really, as they're saying now, a rodent disease that killed Hackman's wife?
So was it really a rodent disease, as they're saying, that killed Hackman's wife? And again, the mysterious part to everybody was that they were both found dead and she was only like 65. And they were both ruled as natural causes, so that raises some suspicions, much like a woman's death being ruled as suicide when she's been stabbed in the back a bunch of times.
The same week, one Montana rancher says
One Montana rancher.
she survived the same rodent disease. And if that's true, she should really tell us if the source has been eradicated, because I think it might be living in her hair. One
Montana rancher
says she survived the same rodent
disease.
And if that's true,
And if that's
she
true,
should really tell us if the source has been eradicated.
she should really tell us if the source has been
Because I
eradicated.
think it might be living in her hair.
Also survived the rodent disease, the source of which may still be living in her hair. Why is that so long? That's crazy. That's so long.
And was it really, as they're saying now, a rodent disease that killed Hackman's wife?
He is reading this like he's never seen it before. He sounds startled to see this part of the joke.
The same week?
I didn't write this. Where am I? Where is Choo-Choo, where's Choo-Choo, my Great Dane? Grandfather, is that you? He's like having an episode.
One Montana rancher says she survived the same rodent disease, and if that's true, she should really tell us if the source has been eradicated, because I think it might be living in her hair.
One Montana rancher says she survived the same rodent disease, although I think the source might be living in her hair. First of all, I would never target this random woman for such a fucking cruel, mean joke. I mean, maybe it's all fake. I don't know. In which case, it also sucks. But, like, I certainly would not target her with it and add in all of those words for absolutely no reason. Who are these people in this audience?
And finally, new rule. You gotta give me more than a week to get used to a new word or phrase or name for what we call something. We did this with homeless until it was unhoused. We did this with illegal alien until it was undocumented migrant.
So I actually saw something from decades ago. I can't remember what I was watching. But I saw something from like decades ago, and they were right. I think it was with Ella. They referred to someone as being an undocumented immigrant in the fucking on the Sarah, the show he was on 30 years ago, 40. Oh my God, 40 years ago. So he should be familiar with the term. He would have saw it in the fucking sides that day in his trailer.
We did this with midget until it was, how dare you, we say little people now.
So I hate this joke. That joke I hate because why couldn't you do that? Like, he just randomly picked that one as the one where it's like, people get outraged. But it's like, well, that you could do that with any of the first two, too. Like, it's not like people are particularly angry about that word over the others. You know he wanted to say the fucking N-word, man. You know. Or, like, he wanted to say, like, I don't know, Negro or something. Like, you know he wanted to get really fucking nutty with it. You know. He wanted to go fucking absolutely apeshit on a slur there. And an EP sat him down and was like, Bill, you can't slur, man. You can't do a slur like that. And he's like, what if I pick one of the most minor slurs that people still use all the time? They were like, okay, just don't make it one about an ethnicity. Unless you want to do like Dago. And he's like, no, I want this one. Then that person went back into their office and looked at photos of their big house that their beautiful family lives in, and they're like, hey, look, I don't work for the Saudis, so it's not as bad as it could be.
And now we're doing it with prostitute.
Now we're doing it with prostitutes. So this kind of went around. This is his final monologue about the term sex worker, which he does not know how to use. He doesn't really know how it means. Also, just to, like, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Obviously, a lot of people accuse him of getting, I mean, he loves strippers. Like, he does use sex work. He thinks sex worker just means prostitute. And look, I'm not the first person. Like, I'm not saying he does, but certainly it is a popular rumor that he loves prostitutes, that he gets a lot of prostitutes. I'm not saying he does. It's just and then there were people posting online. They were like, I know people who he has paid to fucking come over and hang out and have sex. Like, there were posts on social media after this specific thing came out. I'm not saying it's true. I've just seen them. r/Maher posted one of them. Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that this isn't a thing everybody talks about with this guy. A thing people don't always go, look, we all know he does this. I'm not going to do, I had to acknowledge it off the top so people didn't spend this whole time going, why is Will pretending like this guy is not constantly being accused of hiring specifically prostitutes? And again, as I was saying, he doesn't really seem to know what a sex worker, he doesn't really seem to know what that term encompasses a broad swath of sex work. It's a worker whose work is sex. Like stripper, escort, prostitute, phone sex operator, OnlyFans model, like pornography, person in porn, cameraman for porn, guy who'll fucking, jack off in your car while you watch, in your truck. And the thing I think is also important about this is that, like, he still lets his deep contempt for sex workers shine through in this bit. And I've got a lot of examples of it. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's like 5, 6, 7 minutes long. But I've got some clips. 3 minutes and 50 seconds worth of clips. So I'm playing a lot of it. But his contempt for, just women in general, because again, he thinks of sex workers, he just thinks of women. His contempt definitely shows through. Here's the first clip I wanted to get in here.
I don't know if you saw the Academy Awards this year, but I'm just going to say it. Whores are having a moment.
Okay, fuck you. To take a page out of your book, hey, fuck you. What the I guess to him, it's this odd thing where, like, to him, he'd probably, well, that's what the word means. It's like, right. But it's derogatory. It's a term that is used in a hateful fashion. If not hateful, contemptuous, insulting, even just insulting. But, like, that's the first bullet he puts in the chamber right there. Whores are having a moment. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to expect you to have, not a moment, but an episode, a hateful episode here about sex workers. And it's extra fucking irritating because he wraps it up in, like, concern by the end, where he's like, oh, should we really? This next, okay, but before he gets to that part, just listen to this.
Because it's kind of funny how it's only been a few weeks and I already know people who, if you use the word prostitute, they will glare at you like you forgot a reusable bag at Whole Foods.
So obviously that's a lie. He doesn't know those people because he doesn't ever hang around with anybody who would ever care about anyone else who has any, like, hangs out with Jeff Bezos and fucking David Zaslav. It's not, nobody with any empathy is in his life. So why would that happen, first of all? Second of all, prostitute is not, some people will possibly argue, prostitute is still a direct, but, like, a prostitute is a specific thing. That is a person who has sex with you for money. Again, sex worker is this broad term. And him saying, it's only been a few weeks and I already have to have this situation I made up with this straw man I created. Like, this is the lowest, this kind of fucking, I already know people who glare at you. No, you don't. No, you don't, because nobody fucking does that. Nobody fucking does that. Like, a prostitute is a type of sex worker. That's all that is. They are a type of sex worker. Nobody's like, you fucking piece of shit. gonna say fucking prostitute. Like, fuck you, man. Fuck you for making up the lamest, dumbest joke you can. The woke left is already... And also, it's only been a few weeks. Buddy, this term has been around for an incredibly long time. And it's been in the mainstream for years. For years, people have been talking about sex workers. I mean, he references it being used. I have a clip where he references AOC using it like 2 years ago. And it's like, okay, you fucking moron. So it's not new. The whole premise of this bit is so fake. Where it's either you're stupid or you made up a thing. So you can, I don't even know. What do you want from this? This just feels like denial. It does. It feels like denial. It feels like a guy being like, oh, what is this? Like a guy being like, oh, this strange term. And, oh, you got to feel bad for these poor ladies. It's like, buddy, I'm not buying this for a second. I'm not buying you talking this shit for a second. You love sex workers. Objectively, we know he loves strip clubs. We know that. And that is sex work. There's a fucking club around who's like, I wouldn't even know how to open an OnlyFans account. It's like, okay, well now I feel like you're fucking burning through money jacking off to OnlyFans models. This weird denial. And that's what this whole fucking bit sounds like. What part is this? What?
But my question is, if it's such an important liberal cause, why didn't you do it 10 years ago? Or 20? Or in 1975? Maybe I should be copying an attitude with you.
What kind of a fucking point is that? Hey, if it's so important, why have you not been doing it in time immemorial? How come since the beginning of creation you have not been using this term? Well, because language changes and movements occur and sex workers go, hey, we like the umbrella term sex work because, we're all kind of in this together and it's a field. It's a field of work. Why haven't you been saying this since the 70s? Well, because we just started however many years ago. Because that was the moment when it occurred to... Like, what kind of a... Hey, if racial justice is so important, why haven't we had civil rights forever? If, like... This is such an incredibly stupid thing to say. Hey, if this is so important, why haven't you always said it? Well, because it didn't occur to us until the time it occurred to us. Because that was when these people... Because these are a notoriously voiceless group of people. And that's what a part of legitimizing sex work is about. Is being like, hey, these people have a job. And so they deserve the same dignity as other people with jobs. Why haven't you always been saying it? Because nothing happens such. Because not possible.
No, I remember in the 90s on my old show, Politically Incorrect. Thank you. Oh, nice, we remember.
Pathetic to not be like, no, let me keep going. He's like, oh, thanks, nice, thanks, thank you so much. Fucking embarrassing.
No, I remember speaking in support of the idea that prostitution should be legalized, and it was considered very politically incorrect. It was certainly not the liberal point of view back then. It was the libertarian point of view. But, in America, if you don't like the position of any particular political faction, just wait, they'll switch it up.
What the hell are you talking? First of all, once again, he doesn't know the difference between the liberals and the left. Because you can find much more opposition to this amongst liberals. Even on the left, there are still plenty of people who are opposed to legalizing prostitution and who think a lot of more sex work should be criminalized, essentially. Or I guess decriminalized and whatever the people who use it are the... But you can find people who are pro-prohibition for this stuff, both amongst liberals and the left. And also, isn't this a guy who claims he's like, what? Isn't it good to grow? Isn't it good to be able to change your mind? It's like, yeah, people grew. They saw this and they're like, oh, you know what? Also, as if it's switched, libertarians, I'm assuming, are still in favor of legalizing prostitution. So the only thing that changed is Some people were like, you know what? They made a lot of great points. And also from a I mean, I remember my dad telling me, he's like, you can't get rid of it. Why make it illegal? It'll always exist. So you can't possibly get rid of it. He was pro-prohibition for drugs, though. I'm not sure why one and the other. And it's not, I don't think my dad was the type to use prostitutes. He just seems too shy. Like, what? What? Like, seems like he just wants to, I don't know what, give himself credit or big himself up. Or also, there were plenty of people. I mean, again, liberals are not the left, but there were also lots of people in the 90s. There were people who wanted to legalize it. I was the only one, me and my libertarian friends. Like, learn the difference between a liberal and a leftist, you fucking nitwit. And again, also, you got exactly what you wanted. These people supposedly grew and changed their opinions. And you're like, oh, wait 5 minutes and people will switch their political opinions. Well, they didn't switch it with anybody. They just embraced it. This makes no fucking sense. Oh, my God.
A few years ago, the New York Post ran a story.
A few years ago.
About a paramedic who couldn't make ends meet and so started an OnlyFans to pay her bills, and then got publicly shamed for it. And Congressman Ocasio-Cortez tweeted in her defense, sex work is work.
A couple years ago, sex work is work. Why is this new term? Everybody expects me to use this new term I only heard about a couple weeks ago. 2 years ago, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, sex work is work. Well, which is it, you fucking moron? Fucking George Bush doesn't read the paper. You don't read your own fucking monologue. Just wait for this. Oh my God, this next thing he says, it's a part of the same bit.
Well, first of all...
Well, fuck you.
Well, sex shouldn't be work at all. You wives know what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about? Sex shouldn't be work. Well, you love strip clubs, man. What do you think a stripper is? Also, you wives know what I'm talking about. What is this? None of this, it makes no sense. Dude, I was making good time, reasonable time, and it's all spiraled out of control. A big part of it, because this is nonsense. You can tell he wrote this part because it makes no fucking sense, and I'm sure he doesn't let anybody edit it. Because it's just like these things, they don't go together. You're contradicting yourself. What do you mean by this joke? And he's like, I don't think so. I'm sorry. Does it say Bill Maher on your desk? No? Well, I don't think it's real time with writer number 4, so guard sees him. Oh, this next one is fucking crazy what he's... Not crazy. It's disgusting. This is disgusting what he says. And also really a huge condemnation of him.
Moreover, saying sex work is work, it's kind of like saying slavery is work. Yeah, strictly speaking, but...
No, it's not. Also, that means you're a slaver because, again, as I keep saying, you go to sex workers. You go to strip clubs. It is sex work. He said in the past he likes porn. That is sex work. So if he believes that these women are essentially enslaved into this, and he says it later, he's like, none of them want to be doing this. It's like, okay, so you go to slaves. So you go to people who you believe are sex slaves, and you watch them dance around naked, if not other stuff. That's the kind of guy you are? Like, it's like saying, no, that's the whole point. Sex work is work. Sexual slavery is slavery. It's important. That's why they want the distinction made. Is because also, if you don't make the distinction, then people who are being sexually trafficked, they suffer because you spend most of your time busting people who are doing sex work instead of having been sex trafficked. Like, Somebody sit this guy down and slap the shit out of him and then explain this stuff to him while he's concussed, and maybe it'll, like, sink in. I don't know why it would sink in then.
I swear to God, there's 20 more hooker portrayers.
Okay. Right. So that's he's talking about how many women actors have been, like, nominated for Oscars for playing sex workers, but he calls them instead of hookers, he says herkers. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna run it back.
Slavery is work. Yes, strictly speaking, but I swear to God, there's 20 more hooker portrayers.
There's 20 more herker portrayers. Really great work, man. Just say it again, reread it. He doesn't reread it, he just keeps going. He just plows through. This next thing, he doesn't realize what he's saying, but doesn't realize he makes an important point or stumbles on an important thing.
If half of all
here.
male stars in Hollywood had at one point played a porch pirate or a used car salesman or a three-card money dealer or a lobbyist, something really sketchy, would we not wonder about that? What?
Every single male star has at some point played a man who kills an indiscriminate amount of people with guns, and they are the hero of that story. Is that not the more distressing observation? Why are there a lot of movies about sex workers? Because we're really interested in sex, and the transactional nature of it's really rich for storytelling, and there's a lot of easy emotions you can kick up there. Like, so many male stars have played horrific murderers, state murderers, spies, like state agents who indiscriminately kill people, and they are the heroes of the story. But all these women have played sex workers. What does that say about us? That we're really fascinated with sex. I feel like you should know that, considering it's all you ever fucking talk about, you absolute nauseating sleaze. I think it's less disturbing how interested in sex work in media Americans are. I think that's less distressing than how interested you are in women in their 20s. What does that say about you that you think that's totally normal?
Now, Honora is a good one. It's a great movie. So is Sean Baker's other movie about a sex worker, Tangerine, and his other movie about a sex worker, Red Rocket, and his other movie about a sex worker, Starlet, and his other movie about a sex worker, The Florida Project. Look, I think Sean is a huge talent, but he does think about whores a lot.
Again, goes back to the derisive term to mock them and degrade them. It's like, also it's like, so as a bit of a sidebar, people love to get into Sean Baker. They love to be like, Sean Baker is a disgusting creep who follows all these right-wing accounts. He does follow a lot of right-wing accounts. He also follows a lot of left-wing. He follows BLM. He follows, I can't remember her name. She's like a left-wing media personality in Canada. She was like a Much Music VJ. She was in Short Bus. He follows a lot of people, a lot of accounts on Instagram. Most of what he follows are film accounts, theater chains, film festivals, other directors. And he does follow a lot of sex workers, but it's like, well, they'll be like, oh, he's a pervert who follows all these OnlyFans models. It's like, yeah, I mean, that is what he, almost exclusively what he writes about. One, because most people don't make movies truly humanizing these people and actually trying to explore what their work and their lives are like. So I imagine he sees that as very rich, fertile storytelling territory. Also, and this is not me like, I don't know Sean Baker's politics. If I had to guess, I would say he's a fucking libertarian. That's the vibes I get off of the guy. All the shit he follows. It's funny. Bill Maher, if I had to wager, I'd say Sean Baker and Bill Maher would get along really fucking well. The man, followed BLM and libs of TikTok. So I feel like they could both do a lot of like both sides energy. But like he sure does think about whores a lot. But again, you think about fucking women in there. You're gross. Like Sean Baker has a type of story. He has a field he likes to tell stories within. You are just a nasty creep. And yet you would be like, whoa, I romance them. Again, I romance them. Okay. Again, everybody's fucking skeptical. I'm not saying it. I'm not slandering or anything, but this is out of control. This is out of control. The fucking new rules broke me. I was doing so well, and then the fucking new rule broke me.
And honestly, I think whore was a better term.
Yeah, because you're a piece of shit.
Here's why. You can get so caught up in the virtue signaling that
virtue signaling?
You actually do harm to the cause, and using sex worker makes it sound too benign, like it's a temp job at a call center.
Sometimes it is. Like, there are people who do phone sex, and that's not so different from what you just described.
Being done by a woman in a cubicle with a cactus on her desk.
Yes. Phone sex. What are they laughing at?
But it's not that. And it's not usually the woman's choice to do it.
Based on what? Okay, this is the part that really fucking pissed me off. It's like, according to whom? According to whom? Based on what? And like, if you really want to get into theory, you can be like, well, technically we are all slaves because you have to have a job. We must have a job. And thus, if we can't actually make the choice, we have to have a job to live. We are forced to by society. And thus, if it is not our decision to work, we are in some sense all slaves. But like, it's like the way they talk about it, it's like, do you know how many fucking bad, dangerous, horrific, soul-crushing jobs there are? But this guy's gonna be like, well, no woman would choose that. It's like, well, what guy, if he didn't have to, would choose fucking construction? If he could just, like, I don't know, sit at home and watch TV or read books or game or whatever. Like, if that was an option for his life, would he still go into fucking do construction every week? The only difference is, well, people degrade construction workers, but in a different way. It's like a class thing. As opposed to being like, well, they would never do this if they didn't have to. Yeah, they probably wouldn't. They probably wouldn't do this if they didn't have to. Because who wants to do a fucking job? We do it because we have to. And for some people, it's just more fucking convenient. Like, sex work is convenient. They can make their own hours. It pays better money. Whatever, man. I don't fucking care how you come to that decision for yourself. But he is like, well, they never could. Why would anyone ever make that choice? Like, fuck you. You don't fucking know anything. You don't fucking know anything about this. You've got nothing backing this up. You're a fucking gross old man who assumes that because having sex with you is a waking nightmare for any human being that partakes in it, that sex as a job must not be a real thing. It is something no one would ever consider. Just because you are Lovecraftian in bed. That's the only conclusion I can come to here. The fucking Cthulhu of sex, Bill Maher.
The language may have changed, but the job hasn't.
The language may have changed, but the job hasn't. Fuck you.
There's a real piece of garbage out there these days named Andrew Tate. And he's the...
Who I'm sure he would have had on... Like, is there any doubt he would have had him on his show before he got arrested? No. None. Absolutely none. Absolutely would have done a one-on-one interview. He had fucking Milo Yiannopoulos on his show.
Other guy in the news connected to sex workers. Except here's the little difference. He's for exploiting them.
Yeah, they're not sex workers. They are human trafficking victims. They are forced to do it. And thus it is not work. This is the thing about saying, yeah, technically slavery is work. It's like, no, technically slavery is slavery. That's the entire point. Andrew Tate is the argument for the legitimization of sex work because it makes it much more difficult for guys like Andrew Tate to operate because you don't have a whole industry or big parts of an industry operating in like the shadows where they have no protections and predatory guys like Andrew Tate can swoop in. And obviously, he exploited people that were doing legal work, but It's still easier to do what he does if the work, but it's also more difficult because like people don't, broadly the public does not respect a cam girl. The government does not respect they're not going to look out. If the government gave a shit about this kind of stuff, it'd be stuff like, what is it, Brain Geek, the company that owns like all the Pornhub sites. That company would be smashed into pieces because it is so exploitative. The videos of sexual violence on their sites that they have like profited off of because it has a monopoly. And if sex work were legitimized, then it would be so difficult for a company like that to operate. If it were just if it were viewed as like a job people have, then there would be real attention on like the evils and atrocities and difficulties put on those people by people who want to exploit them, by those workers who are being exploited by like MindGeek, I think is the company. I mean, MindGeek is one of the most evil companies in the world, the things they have allowed to happen on their platforms. And it's because if you brought it up in Congress, they'd all be like, get that pornography bill out of here. And it happens because of attitudes like this guy's. Bill Maher's being this guy in this case. Obviously, it also happens because of attitudes like Andrew Tate's, because Andrew Tate is, awful, as bad as a man can be. A human being can't. It's all about scale. Once you get to being as bad as Andrew Tate, it's just about scale.
And he brags about pimping out, beating, and trafficking and tricking vulnerable women.
Right, exactly. Not work.
And that's all you need to know about the politics of today. The left, still too often unserious and performative and counterproductive.
What is unserious and performative about this? It's a genuine movement of people who are trying to get protections for their job, either through legalization or having it acknowledged as actual work. It's a real movement. This shit, what he does is performative.
But the right, scary and dangerous and untethered to basic morals.
Which one is more performative? Talking about sex work and trying to get sex workers the rights of all workers, or Bill Maher, who sits there and fucking moralizes, and he's all smug, and he's like, it doesn't know anything. And talk about performative, again, he compares people being like, what's sex work? Sex work is work. He compares that with Andrew Tate and the Republicans who refuse to denounce him. Those are the two things he compares. To him, the left and the right, they're always the same. This guy has no sense of scale. Fucking, oh my God, this ran so much longer than I wanted it to. 5 out of 5 psychic damage because it's fucking 1:40 in the morning and I'm wound up. I started drinking to fucking cool me off a little bit. I don't think that makes any sense in retrospect. Yeah, drunks famously chilled out. 5 out of 5 psychic damage. Is there anything I'd like to plug? Yeah, you can get more of this on the Patreon. We've got Jeremy Appel is coming back. We're going to talk about Chrystia Freeland on Real Time from a few weeks ago. Al Worth and I. Oh my God, I have to watch the newest Kid Rock, Club Random. Mother of God, I have to do that tomorrow. And I'm going to talk about it with Al Worth. I